6 o'clock, 24th October 2024. This is at GTV Ghana and across all our social media platforms at GTV Ghana. I am Valencia Tete. Now the news in detail. The National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, has released the 2024 report on matters of concern to the Ghanaian voter. The report highlights 4 thematic areas, including monetization, high rate of electoral violence, dissemination of fake news, and religious inducement in politics as the most prevalent in Ghanaian vote politics. The chairperson of the NCCE, Ms. Kathleen Addy, made the revelation at a forum launch of the report in Accra.
The National Commission on Civic Education, through its mandate to create and promote civic education and understanding and commitment to democracy since 1994, has undertaken a number of research projects to educate and inform the public. A 2024 survey conducted by the NCCE dubbed Matters of Concern to the Ghanaian Voter examined issues of concern to the Ghanaian voter and perceptions on the performances of previous and current governments in addressing key developmental issues in the country. The research found over 20 broad issues respondents or voters want government to address. These include employment, health, road, infrastructure and economy. The Director of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation at the NCCE, Dr. Henrietta Asante-Sapong, said education was the topmost issue of concern, specifically on challenges associated with the free SHS policy, as well as expanding educational infrastructure.
What factors would account for this election violence? We had 4 major factors. The first being political polarization and fierce rivalry, electoral fraud or irregularities, disputed election results, and then ethnic and regional tensions.
The survey also looked at voter participation and behavior. Majority expressed their willingness to vote, indicating a strong anticipated voter turnout and engagement. However, voting intentions in the coming election in the 16 regions showed that Northeast, Northern, Upper West and OT regions had the highest level of willingness to vote, while Greater Accra region reported the lowest, followed by the Central region and the Bono region. Majority also called on the authorities to review existing laws to strengthen the fight against corruption and punish perpetrators. On whether participants will undertake any violent act to further their party's interest in the elections, 99.1% of the respondents indicated they were unwilling to engage in election-related violence to satisfy their party's interest. Respondents also attributed vote buying to poverty and economic vulnerability. Over 50% of the respondents were also not confident that the 2024 election will be devoid of vote buying.
Money in politics, as we have come to see, that trend is growing in our political culture. It used to be muted, but now it's very loud. It's in your face. Everybody is doing it. Politicians are doing it and giving interviews on it. Citizens are demanding it. They are talking about it to the media. They are showing the things they've collected. And we've moved from matches and candles as small gifts for potential voters in the olden days or in the early days of the Republic to now we are looking at flat screen TVs, fridge, and all manner of extremely expensive things. This trend is a threat to our democracy and to the stability of the state.
The study also assessed the perspectives regarding the confidence in the EC to conduct free, fair and credible elections. 42.1% said they had confidence in the EC, while 42.6% were uncertain.
The Coastal State Stability Mechanism project has been launched to enhance security and promote good governance in the country. The initiative, a collaboration between Ghana, the US and Germany, forms part of efforts to deal with growing threats of violent extremism in the West African sub-region. The project was launched at Yendi
to counter the rise of violent extremism and terrorism in West Africa. It also aligns with Ghana's National Free Dambu communities communities in the northeast region in the area will also receive solar power system and blood bank community stakeholders. The initiative will also building conflict resolution and ethnic diversity. The project was scheduled to be launched at Chirpone, but due to the poor road infrastructure, it was moved to Yendi. The district chief executive for Chirpone, Hajia Zuwairatu Mada Nashiru, who complained about the poor road network, said any effort at building peace and security must consider infrastructural development.
CSSM has also contributed to improving infrastructure in our communities yet to come on, and they have promised to install 50 solar street lights.
The Northeast Regional Minister, Yidana Zakaria, commended the governments of the United States and Germany for their support. The Assistant Secretary, Bureau of Conflicts and Stabilization Operations, U.S. Department of State, Ann Witkowski, emphasized the importance of partnerships in stemming the growing threat to democracy.
Together, working together, we will foster conditions for long-term regional stability. As the United States, Germany, and Ghana work together, we are confident that this will create stronger and more resilient communities.
We have not closed formally after laboratory work.
Representatives of the Peace Campaign Committee of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council on Wednesday paid a courtesy call on the management of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation to officially seek support for a peace campaign and its launch. This is an initiative of the council as the nation readies for the December general election. For the nation, national unity, peace dialogue, and a smooth and transparent electoral process is paramount. The official launch of the peace campaign is scheduled to take place on November 3, 2024 at the forecourt of the State House.
November 3rd as a date for the official launch of the GPCC Peace Campaign, representatives of the Peace Campaign Committee of Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council say this is a call on citizens, political parties and various groups to maintain the peace and order before, during and after the election. With its vast media reach, GBC will play a supporting role to get the messages of peace and promoting peaceful dialogue throughout the electioneering period as they partner in this campaign. The launch, which is planned for the forecourt of the State House, has the President of the Republic on the invitee list as well as representatives from the Electoral Commission, the Inspector General of the Ghana Police Service, Muslim communities, traditional leaders and other key stakeholders. The General Secretary of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, GPCC, Apostle Emmanuel Tete, said partnering with GBC will effectively amplify the peace campaign across the nation.
We recognize that this year's election has very, very unique dynamics to it. The two leading political parties have a Muslim presidential candidate and a Christian presidential candidate. We don't want to make it a religious contest. No, we need to also up our game in driving the need for peace. And so we will humbly want to request, as part of our coming here, for support from GBC to help us reach as far as we can.
The Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, assured the committee for the full support from the state broadcaster.
Ensure that we deliver on our mandate, which is treating all political parties equally during election times. And when we are doing that, it's because of the peace we want for this country. That's why we are doing that. And we will do that. And we align completely with your mission and your plan that GBC should be seen as a partner and a collaborator in this your project.
The November 3rd peace campaign launch at the forecourt of the State House is to build foundations to guard the peace. The peace campaign is to be aired on GBC's platforms, reminds all citizens of the importance of peace and unity as they exercise their democratic rights in December.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has assured the people of Agoti Meziope constituency and the entire Volta region that he will construct a first-class road from Ho to Denu if elected as president in December polls. During the Community Connect program in the constituency, Dr. Bawumia said this road is going to be a priority for his administration from 2025.
The Community Connect program was Dr. Bawumia's last activity in the Agoti Meziope constituency on Tuesday evening. After several engagements in the area, the Community Connect creates the platform for the NPP presidential candidate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and his possibility campaign team to interact with the young people in the constituency, share his innovative policies and how the policies will create jobs for them. Dr. Bawumia told the youth in the constituency how his Buy Ghana First policy and training 1 million youth in digital skills will offer thousands of the people employment.
We will train at least 5,000 youth from Agoti Meziope constituency, 5,000 youth in digital skills. Even school dropouts, we can train them so that they get access to jobs in the international market.
Dr. Bawumia said he will introduce solar energy into Ghana's energy mix to bring down the cost of electricity in the country.
I am going to bring down the cost of electricity. I'm bringing down the cost of electricity in Ghana. We are going to move away from oil and gas to generate electricity and move for solar power. We are going to use solar power to generate electricity and bring down the cost of electricity by 50%.
He assured the people of the Volta region that the whole Denu road will be a priority in his administration.
I can tell you what Dr. Bawumia has done. 33 different policies as vice president. If you ask the former president to tell us one policy that he has brought to help all Ghanaians, he cannot tell us one. Is it Dumso? Is it a confirm? Or he wants to bring in Coco in Kitin for us? One of my first priorities as a president is to make sure that the whole Denu road is constructed and we have a first-class road between Ho and Denu. We will make sure that the water problems in this area, we deal with the water problems. We are going to make sure that we help the farmers in this area. Just like we have brought equipment for all the roads, we are going to bring equipment for farmers in every district, and every district will have equipment for farmers.
Dr. Bawumia appealed to the people in the Volta region to support his bid to become the president by voting number 1 at the polls.
Thank you very much. We are number 1.
Former President John Mahama has reiterated the NDC's commitment to retooling the security services in his next administration as president. He criticized the current NPP government for failing to equip the security personnel with the necessary tools to perform their duties effectively. Mr. Mahama maintained that during the NDC's previous administration, they supplied the security services with 100,000 vehicles, including armored cars for the military, helicopters and bulletproof gears. Speaking to the people of Tema West at Ajay Kojo near Ashaman, he urged them to have faith in the NDC, which he said is the only party that can meet their needs and ensure a safer and more secured environment.
Prisons, immigration, NDC na eboa omo. When NDC was in power, we did the biggest retooling of all the security services. The Air Force, we bought them helicopters, we bought them aeroplanes. The military, we bought them transport vehicles, we bought them armored cars. The police, we bought them armored cars, and we gave them the largest fleet of vehicles in history. 1,000 vehicles were given to the police service. Since then, there's been no major retooling of the security services. So you go to a police station and you call the police because armed robbers have come to your house and they don't have a vehicle at the police station. And you don't expect that they'll go and hire a taxi and say they're going to fight armed robbers. And so when NDC comes, we're going to retool the security services. We're going to give them vehicles. We're going to give them bulletproof vests so that they can protect us. Because if you take them as security officers and you don't give them the instruments with which to do their job, how can they do their job? So in our manifesto, we have indicated that we're going to retool our security services. We're going to give them the vehicles, the bulletproof vests, the weapons, the armored vehicles, so that they can fight the armed robbery menace that we are currently facing.
Now, on the foreign front, a team of international scientists in a study published on Wednesday said human-causes climate change has increased the intensity of seasonal rains across the Niger and Lake Chad basins this year, resulting in devastating flooding. They added that the impact of these non-common extreme floods has been exacerbated by poverty, rapid urbanization, and water management issues.
Researchers at the World Weather Attribution Initiative found 5 countries. Scientists said these spells of intense summer rainfall have become the new normal because of climate change and will occur annually if global warming continues. They added that the impact of these now common extreme floods have been exacerbated by poverty, rapid urbanization, and water management issues. The group noted that the severe flooding from June to September hit what was already a vulnerable region and significantly deepened the complex humanitarian crisis in Sudan, that strained the capability of aid organizations and government bodies to respond to the situation. Floods in Chad, Cameroon, Niger, Nigeria, and Sudan led to the loss of more than 2,000 lives and displaced millions of people. The rains also overwhelmed dams in Nigeria.
Let's have the Alpha Lotto winning numbers for Omega Wednesday. The Alpha Lotto winning numbers for Omega Wednesday: 20, 51, 40, 90, 27. The Alpha Lotto winning numbers for Omega Wednesday again: 20, 20, 51, 51, 40, 40, 90, 90, and 27, 27. Lots is happening on our breakfast show this morning. Don't go away after this break.
Today is the 24th of October, the 79th UN Day. Day with Achame Kwame and Bertha, who by the way is Yaya. So beautiful song right here to start our show. This is GTV Breakfast, 24th October, the 79th UN Day. There's a conversation on the UN on today's show. It's also World Polio Day. So hey, mummies, daddies, make sure your children are vaccinated between the ages of 1 day to 5 years. It has to go down. Well, on my show today, our show, your show, we've got the Reverend and the Sheikh, our Thursday guests, who will be sitting down to chew on the headlines. I can predict that they will talk about Parliament, which has been adjourned indefinitely. They'll also talk about Galamsey, which is with us for now, almost permanently, which is a shame. And then later on, there will be a conversation on agrofusion and young innovators. Sounds really, really exciting. WhatsApp number is 055-556-1034. All those women who are putting fish on the medians on the roads to be dried for lizards to come and drop their business cards on the fish that we eat. Good morning, Marketing.
Business card for Calves. Good morning and good morning, Ghana. And you know that when you see me the Ghana Wins Corner, it means we have a conversation today again on Manifesto Watch. It's a platform where the political parties who are in the race for this year's election come to tout the policies to you. And today we're sitting with the NDC looking at their education policy. What's the progressively free senior high school all about? What's their intention for tertiary education and the linkages to the job market? I'll be still with Clement Park on the Manifesto Watch today. So don't miss it. Be sure to join our conversation. Send your questions on 055-556-1034. And I must just throw in that I hear the Kuko SHS people are bleeding because the Tamaskans have made it to the semi-finals of the National Science and Maths quiz. It's not an easy thing. Interestingly, CAF, the vice president went to Tamale Senior High School and the presidential candidate of the NDC went to Ghana Secondary School. So there's always that rivalry, but let me throw it to Jay now. Jay, what's happening on your side?
No rivalry on my side. Good morning to you all once again. So we talking digital entrepreneurship. You know, in the job market now, technology is the future, AI is the future. And now this conversation with our regular guest, David Jedu, the CEO of Cyber One Defense and Communications. He also has something in store for us. He launched a book over the weekend. I'll be sharing snippets of it with you this morning. He'll be enlightening us on how we can use digital platforms to enhance our job getting opportunities. And of course, there's a 5th edition of the Super Fanfare, Super Wonderland French Fanfare, which will be coming off this weekend. We'll be having that conversation to wrap up this entire show. And so that's it for my side of things. So later on, I'll be bringing you the quote of the day. So stand by for that. Let me throw it to the rest of my people. Kaf, Motiti, what's happening?
Okay, so what's happening is that on Thursdays, we also have public interest. And today we're looking at those people who sleep under the interchanges, the bridges in our urban areas, focusing on one particular interchange here in Accra. You see them, don't you? What's their plight? And most importantly, how are we helping them to get off the streets? So that's something that you should be checking out in the next hour on public interest. Welcome.
Wako Jako.
It's breast cancer, so get...
Say now. And we're back. It's still hashtag GTV Breakfast. My name is Jay Gabra, that GTV boy. And have you ever experienced a situation where you're looking at something or you're reading something, watching something, and you realize that, oh, I had an idea similar to this some time ago, and yet you see somebody else doing it. My personal belief is that anytime you have an idea, you are not the only person who has it. There's a far bigger picture. And so everybody gets snippets of it, and whoever is able to develop it gets to tap into the mainframe. So whenever you have an idea and you want to sit on it, please don't. Maybe you are thinking, oh, your goal is too large, it's too big, you can't complete it now. But please, always, always, always focus on the steps right in front of you, not the whole staircase. If you want to think about the whole thing, you will not embark on that journey. And we don't want that situation where you'll be like, oh, hold on, I thought about this, why didn't I do it? You know, I could have done it differently. Please, just do it differently. Do your own thing, and don't let somebody else do it before you're like, oh, oh, but I had this idea, or I did this. So please, focus on the steps right in front of you, not the entire staircase. All right? All right. So that's our quote for the day. We're moving on to the rest of the show. And our regular experts, our Cyber One defense guy, David Jedu, is standing by, of course, with the live threat map. David, how are you doing this morning?
I'm blessed yourself.
Oh, Charlie, I'm also blessed though.
Great,
So
I love the code. I love the code. So yes, we are looking at the cyber live threat map, how the internet looks today. So definitely this is just to inform you that whatever you're doing on the space, you need to be careful about it. So this morning we've seen that there are some exploits developed from the US here all the way to Russia, or sorry, here, Turkey and the rest. We have Canada and other places. And then you could see that we have some of the top industries targeted. Education, and now we have telecommunication, and then government institutions are focused. Then we have some countries leading, that is Ethiopia. When it comes to this side of the screen, we have the recent daily attacks, and then we've seen them here, and the various attacks that are currently running today on the space, right? So this is how it looks like, and we are still around an attack level around 3 million plus, and you see that we have the malware, phishing, exploits. Yes, those are the main attacks or the main threats today found on the space.
Thank you so much for taking us through that. You know, earlier on when we were talking about the code, focus on the steps in front of you and not the entire staircase. I knew it would resonate with you because guess what? David Jedu launched 3 books. 3 over the weekend. Congratulations.
Thank you, bro.
You know, some people say, have an idea how to write a story or something, and they never do it because they think, to get an entire story. Wow. Charlie, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And you actually did it small.
small. Small. This is the American side. So yes, this book, if you look at it, especially this one, Zero to Hero, it was written, the book was written by myself and my boss, Foster Dugbe. We are the authors of this book. So Zero to Hero, simply we using AI, artificial intelligence and technology to boost our businesses. And that is one of the areas I believe that I call it a free zone for us to tap into it, to be able to use artificial intelligence to boost your business. Then you have the cyber guardian there, and sits with you, and we have
how the internet
tracks you. Very, very important for us to know when you're talking about privacy.
Congratulations once again. We'll delve more into this. I don't want to turn this into a book launch. Now, it's digital entrepreneurship. I know a lot of people have become content creators because of YouTube, TikTok, and stuff like that. So what does it mean when we talk about digital entrepreneurship? Who is a digital entrepreneur?
All right, thank you very much. Yes, good morning to you all. Now, we're looking at digital entrepreneurship. We're looking at ways that today you and I can make a business, develop a business online. So we're talking about entrepreneurship, as we know that doing something on your own. But here we are not looking at just entrepreneurs, the physical entrepreneur. If I want to be entrepreneur online, or let's say around my community, I'm thinking of maybe developing a company, registering a company, getting physical, visibility in terms of a shop, office, and we know how expensive now it is to even rent a shop and all those things. And then we're looking at it in digital. So I mean digital means on your phone. Now, there are so many research proven. I've been studying now, it seems that all day, all time, we are all on our phone. And where are we? When we're on the phone, it's not as if we are just looking on the phone, but we are through the phone, we are on a platform called the digital world. And it's a very good thing to also come there with a business. So we're looking at how you and I can create a business online, can create something online. So that is what we are looking at, digital entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay. So how are some of the ways you can develop that?
Now, so looking at digital entrepreneurship, I have this here. So let me start with this one. I have, so here, before that, let me come to this side for you first. Let's see. I have so kindly no thanks. Let me see here. I have this yellow box here for you. So here.
Which website is this one?
So we are looking at Mailchimp.com, right? Steps to start your online business, right? Now, so when we're talking about digital, we are looking at online, right? So these are what we're looking at. Understand whether your product or service is in demand, right? So whatever you are thinking of, you want to do, let's see that if they are in demand, whatever you are creating. Now the next one is create a business plan, acquire funding, build a website, start marketing it. Now, so these has been some of the steps or the ways to start your digital business. So what we are looking at this morning is that we are looking at how we can come online, bring out a business, and we're looking at some of the feasibility reason why we consider starting or being a digital entrepreneur. So one of it is that it allows for flexibility. Now, online business is very flexible. Wherever I am, this morning I'm here in the studio, I can still be doing business. Over the weekend I traveled and I was still doing business, right? So that is fine. You can, it's very flexible, reach a wide audience. Now, I'm here and like GBC, when you go to our social platform, a lot of people, somebody will be watching us from US, somebody will be watching us from Indian. So the reach is very large. So when it comes to even my site, Cyber One Defense, on TikTok, we have almost about 230K audience from the whole world. So wide range of audience. Just imagine that I just have a shop in Makwala. How many people reach out to the shop physical?
So it's not just Ghana, it's like
it's
a worldwide.
The whole world. So this is the reason why we are going to start, this digital entrepreneurship. Now, minimize expenses. Yes, now, as I said earlier on, if you're looking at the amount to put in it when you're creating a business, it's a lot. So now we look at entrepreneurs from the tertiary cycles. I know people right from even senior high schools. They are doing something huge on the space. So we have that, and access in-depth marketing insight, right? So we have that. So these are some of the reasons why we have to start digital.
But I just want to touch back, allows for flexibility. Yeah. When you mention the fact that even over the weekend you can be anywhere and still, it's like when you're working in a space, they give you some time off. So how do you ensure that the business doesn't take over your life? Or as an entrepreneur, you have no life?
All right, so as an entrepreneur, so it's the goal. You have a product. It depends on every content or every business that you are doing. Now, so I'm an entrepreneur and I'm dealing with, I should have a schedule. So like the way I know that, okay, 8 a.m. I have to be in the office, go on lunch break at this time, go on this branch and all those things. You should be able to have kind of segment your sessions on the space. And the challenge here is that people are not able to differentiate between whatever they do on the space. They just come there and they feel they are on the line forever or like for a very long time.
Yeah, because I realize some people on WhatsApp Business, for instance, they can text you at 8 p.m. or something. They want something the very next day, and then the business will respond, oh, we are not available at this time. And they get a little annoyed. They're like, your business.
So sometimes I think what we have to also know is that every business and their closing time and when they open. So some businesses run 24/7. Some people, the fact that they have reached out on your WhatsApp, they feel that you have to come through for them. Myself, I receive calls around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Sometimes Sunday, they don't know where you are. The call just come. And I believe it's an ethics that I believe that the Ghanaian community has to learn, how to communicate.
Wait, hold on. The calls were not from abroad. They were right here
from Ghana here.
But we are all in the same...
Yeah, somebody can call you around 2 a.m. and when he calls, he just starts, you're hacking my WhatsApp or me, and it's like, sometimes they call you, they don't know even where you are, whether you are in church, you're in the program. So those ones are there, and these ones are educations that will keep going on, that will help. It's a communication issue. But when you're looking at these online stuff, you should understand that it's like the normal business you're having around you, now taking it to the space on the internet. So that is it. Now, how do we get to the place?
Instead of just scrolling on our phones while in our wait time.
So I'm an entrepreneur. I want to be a digital entrepreneur. How do I get there? So one of the ways is to consider, we have these social media platforms, right? So we have, let me see, I have social media platforms together, right? So social media platform, I showed a picture. This one, please. So we have a lot of social media platforms. Let's get to the next one. Right. Okay. So we have a lot of social media platforms to consider. I think it's gone. Okay, here.
Okay. How do I close?
No, you just type anyway. It's okay. Yeah, so let me see.
Okay.
So we have a lot of social media platforms. So these are some of the venues. I believe we've got to know about these ones. We have the LinkedIn, Facebook. Now, so if I want to come to the online as an entrepreneur, I need to know what I'm dealing in. If I'm doing services and I know it's more corporate services, I'm looking at platforms like LinkedIn and X, you know. Now it's X, it's a Twitter here. Then we have businesses that kind of sell items, put that online. We are looking at Facebook, we are looking at Instagram also somewhere, right? We have Facebook, Instagram. So it depends on the business that I'm looking like. I need more traffic. I just created a business. I want more traffic on my page. I could look at TikTok, you know. I want to also educate. I can look at YouTube. So these are, when you're looking at the social platform, this is how you can come there. Aside that too, every business, because it's a business that you have created, and then from the physical way, you need to have a land, have a shop, or maybe rent a shop. You need to have, I'm just want to make a comparison.
Okay.
So if you're looking at the physical one, you need to rent a shop or have a shop to sell your product, right? Now, same happens on a digital space as an entrepreneur. You need a shop to host or to sell your product. And one of the shops that you need are the social media platforms, right, to talk about what you do. The next one is also to build up a website, right? So in building up a website, we can create a website, because this one I'm talking about entrepreneurs. We can build up a website like a WooCommerce site, right? So let's say I want to start online. I want to sell shoes.
Yeah.
I want to do a business in anything, right? So we have what we call the WooCommerce sites, right? Okay. That you have I believe you've seen the Amazon, you've seen the Gigi and the rest, right? Alibaba and the rest. So you can, no matter what success looks like for you, you can do it with WooCommerce. So here we can build up a selling site, right? So sell online, build stuff for others, you know. So I want to sell online, whatever I have, so I can come here. The first step to sell online with WooCommerce, so you can get started, right? So like the code guess, don't wait. You can just start it today as you are watching us, right? So we can consider using WooCommerce, and WooCommerce platforms are for selling, you know, people can make purchases, payments and all that, right? So we can consider using WooCommerce.
Does it create the website for you when you do the get started?
Yes,
or it will just give you a platform to sell
so you have a template that you want to edit, because they don't know what you are into, right? So you have a template. So what we are saying here is that you need to have a digital shop, and that could be a website.
Okay.
So anyhow you create a website, you can get a web developer to create for you. You can also learn how to create it by yourself. Last time we were talking about using Wix, talking about WordPress and the rest, and now you've known about WooCommerce site. You can use that to create a standard website, and that is going to be like your shop. It's very important. Don't just have the Facebook page. If I want to buy from you for the first time and I want to verify some certain things, I need to go online to check who you are, because the website is like a shop that is going to tell me a lot about what you are selling, a lot about what you are doing.
So even if a scammer comes to use this in order to scam people in terms of their online store, you can go on their Facebook and check the reviews.
You check their reviews, you go on their website to check their location, because sometimes the scammers, they don't have much time to scam you. They don't want to invest more, because website, you need to have a domain, hosting and the rest, and they don't want to go through that. I know we have an advanced scam whereby they create all those things, but yes, still you check on them, you make sure that you know the people you are dealing with.
And last time you mentioned the fact that you need to check how many times the name has been changed.
You're on the social platform. So we have that. We have big comments also doing same thing like what we spoke about. Right now, after that, I have a service. I can do something. I have been to school. I'm a graduate. I can write articles. I can do that. I can do that. I want to be an entrepreneur online. Do you know what I can do? I'm not going to look for jobs around, but I want to build myself. Today, like this, a guy is coming from Kumasi is a good friend, and he's making close to $3,000 every month.
Every month.
Yes, and he's a software developer. He's working with Apple in Ghana, and even that is a source deal for him. If it was a direct gig, he will be ending around 6K or 7K USD. How much is the dollar today? So this guy is making around 40,000 to something. Just, you understand, don't shake your head, it's real, it's happening on the space. Talking about digital entrepreneurship. So after school, he didn't join the forces talking about unemployment. Right. He makes sure that he finds something in the space doing, and that's exactly what we're talking about.
Especially now that most people have also finished their service, wondering what the next step would be. They could use all this, to get
even in service. Even in service. Now, so here we're looking at Upwork, right? Upwork is a platform. So kindly just close that for me. So Upwork is a platform, right? Normally, this is an international platform, right? So we connect people to bring projects to life, right? Now, so what we are having here is that we have a lot of them, development, IT, all services, design, creative, sales, marketing, administration. There are a lot of things. So what here we are doing is that you can come on this platform and pick up a gig. Right, or put up a gig, right? So let's say I'm a content creator, I can write article. I can come here, writing and translation. I can also come and expose what I do on this platform. So people would come, so
like you advertise the services.
So here, let's look at something here. I have my keyboard here. Just shortly, let me just type what I do, right? So let's say cyber security, right? Cyber
security.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, okay, so. Okay, good. Now, look at something here. Now, this person here is an information security specialist. He uses tools like the SEMSOC and cybersecurity expert. Right. Now, here, when you click here, let's click on him. Here, even without clicking on him, he's from Pakistan. Right. But he's working around. These are his success story. The rating, job successful, giving us. So he gave us information about himself, right, and what he does. Now, so
so it's he's advertising the services he renders. So if you need to hire him, then
he's charging $25 per hour. So let's say people who are renting his services. Look at it. So this guy is making $25 per hour, right? By just putting this information on the space, right? So we have the Upwork.
Somebody's even doing $99.
$99, depending on your skills, your profession, and all these things, right? So we have that. So and then we have this guy to here, Fiverr. Right, so all these platforms are how we can monetize our skills, right? So you after school you want to do something, you want to be an entrepreneur on yourself or for yourself, right? So find the right freelance service right away, right? So you search for whatever it is. So the way we saw somebody's own, we can also go there and put whatever we do there.
Okay, so this one also has services, and then for those who are, if you want to hire me, so you can just go like advertise yourself and say, oh, I'm Jay Gabra, this is what I do.
Is this what you do?
If you want to hire me, just come. Okay. Now, do they charge you for doing that, or it's a free platform?
So when you pick up the gig, when a gig is being picked up, and that's where they have their commission in there.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So they give you that platform. So assuming you are charging, let's say, $25 per hour, maybe they are charging like maybe $1.
Okay.
Right. Now, lastly, let's open the last one. Now, after saying all these things, we may need the skills, right, to be able to become a successful entrepreneur on the space. You may need the skills. You've watched how this one, you've learned a lot, but there is a professional courses that we can pick up, and these are for free. Now, so we come to the platform called digitaldefense.com, right? So when you come to this platform, all that you do is that here, you see here, university courses, executive programs, free courses. What are we looking for? Free courses in here. So you come to free courses here. Now we have almost about 45,000 online free courses. So what are you doing? You will need the skills to be able to balance this. So free certification course, MIT courses, finance courses. So we go to all the courses this morning.
So it's like if you go to any of the websites like Upwork, Fiverr, and all that, and you realize that you don't necessarily have a certificate for that. You can just come here.
Yes, you want a skill. You want a skill so that you can do it, right? Maybe you studied in school finance, but now you want to come into the IT. You want to do digital marketing. You want to do content creation. There is a skill for you, so you can pick out from. So here we have 25 free Harvard courses, right? So we have that, and we have some from the Stanford, MIT. We have a lot, and even have some from Google too. So you can choose Google, and this after that, Google give you their certificate of doing this thing. So you see 50 free Google courses, right? And then you see the list there. You see the list down there showing you all this. So you look at the rating and what you are going to learn.
Coursera too.
So we have Coursera too giving us that. So today you cannot tell me that, you know what, DK, all these things you are saying, I don't have the skills. I don't know how to do it. We've shown you the platforms, and we've shown you how you can get there and the skills that you need to do it, right?
Even if you don't have the skills,
even if you don't have the skills, sometimes you may have the skills, but you want to polish up a little bit, right? And these ones, you do them on your free will. Right, so you can just, and it doesn't give you, you go there, you see maybe 25 hours watch. If you are serious, you can use 1 week to finish the whole course. Right, and then
because if you have time, you just go through it. And then
the time we have, because look at the hours they spend on social media.
We just go, and you know that's a funny name. Like for instance, TikTok. Your life is just going TikTok, and you don't even realize your life is flying past.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for the education this morning. In wrapping up, what would you like to tell us before we go?
All right. So we're looking at digital entrepreneur. So don't think that you cannot do it. You can also do it. I know there are so many people we can mention when it comes to digital entrepreneurship. They are excelling in it. You can be the next person also excelling in the digital market. Don't fear the technology. It's part of us. So just have more time, study about it. And anytime you're on the space, remember or think that, are you making money from the internet or internet is making money from you? When you answer this question, you'll be serious enough to pick up a digital skills.
Okay, thank you so much, J.B. Jedu, our regular cyber expert this morning, Cyber One Security and Communications. Your books, where can we get them to?
So the books, you have them on Amazon, and the physical copies are in our office, Abilinkwe, adjacent the Central Mosque, and Tema, Community One.
Yeah, right,
so
both digital and physical as well.
Digital and physical. Yes, we just see us.
But then again, congratulations.
Thank you, Senior. And we are hoping to bring more.
Oh, we should. We should. So you can still watch all this conversation if you missed it on our platform, GTV Ghana. We're also interactive on WhatsApp. The show hasn't ended. We'll be right back after these messages.
Stop galamsey now. Enough of the pollution of the water bodies in Ghana. It is a security threat. And guess what? The experts here to talk about security, overall development of member countries of the United Nations. Today is being observed as the United Nations Day, and today's remembrance marks the 79th anniversary of the entry into force of the United Nations, and celebrating everything that the UN represents and has achieved since its establishment in 1945. Now, since 1948, the UN Day has been celebrated annually on the 24th of October. And so the UN Day is devoted to creating awareness about the aims and achievements of the organization. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag because the people are here themselves to talk about what the UN has been doing and what's going to be happening today. From my immediate left is Brigadier General Winfred Jandu, Hedido, Director General in charge of training, General Headquarters, Ghana Armed Forces. Good morning, General. You're a friend of the show, so I know if I messed up your name, I'll be in trouble. But you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you again, General. So General's left is Dr. Wilfredo Chan. He's the acting UN resident. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, and a pleasure having me on the show.
Good to have you. We're streaming live on GTV Ghana on Facebook. You can send us any comments or questions you have for my panel this morning on the UN Day. Let me begin with you, General. Why is this day important for member countries of the UN to celebrate the UN Day?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Like you said, the UN came into being today, some 79 years ago. And it was as a result of the atrocities committed during the Second World War. So at the end of that war, countries came together, and in the words of the founding fathers, they were to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, and therefore put measures in place, wrote charters such that they would chart the path for peace in their activities. And so since then, the UN has done a lot with four main principles to have that prerogative of ensuring international peace and security. Now, as a result of that, we want to evaluate, achieve the achievements that we've gotten so far from the UN and create awareness to generations that did not know about this history, what the UN has done so far.
Right.
So it's very important to talk about the UN, which remains, I dare say, the only platform for global international peace and security.
Dr. Wilfred, would you say recent times have been challenging for the UN, looking at the pockets of conflict in Africa and even the world?
Thank you very much. And as General said, the basis for UN existence is about peace. And peace has to be pursued at all levels and in all situations. So if the basis is about peace and we still see conflict, it again shows that the UN needs to continue working hard together with member states to be able to address conflict and bring about peace and development wherever the situation still demands.
Right.
And to do that, of course, as the UN, we prefer more of the peaceful resolutions of conflict. And we try to bring the warring parties or the conflicting entities to a dialogue, to a table that will preserve humanity, because we also exist to protect the rights of people. We exist to ensure there's international justice system. We also exist to ensure that people progress in their economic and social welfare.
Right.
So yes, the justification for us to continue doing more and doing it every day, and everyone doing it, is there.
And I was asking if it's become more difficult to keep ensuring the peace and sustainability.
It is becoming challenging, and there are many factors that come around this. We are seeing some increasing polarization on some of the issues and in some of the geopolitical setup. And we are seeing also increasing demand by member states to be part of the voice on peace architecture. That's why I think Ghana has been a key champion to restructure the Security Council and have more inclusive voice, like for Africa Union and others, so that people's voices representing different constituencies are part of the conversation and part of the solution. So yes, there's challenge, there is call for peace, but the UN continues to work, and not only to resolve the peace, but also to ensure there's humanitarian assistance to those who are affected by the conflict or disasters wherever they are occurring.
Right.
Just to add on this complexity of keeping the peace, that the trend of peace and conflict has changed from interstate to intrastate.
Okay.
Therefore, when the forefathers envisaged this architecture, they saw that conflict between states. Now, conflict is within states, non-state actors. So if you are fighting your own, it's become very difficult. Therefore, we are talking about terrorism and other causal factors. And that also adds to what Doc said has become so complex about keeping the peace for the United Nations.
General, what's fueling terrorism in some of these intra-state conflicts?
Come again?
What's fueling it? What's driving these conflicts?
Yes, it's human factors most of the time. Terrorism has to do with people trying to make noise about them being, disadvantaged as individuals and as communities. So they just want to cause confusion to be heard.
Right.
So it has to do with poverty, lack of development, not distributing resources according to populations. So generally, people want to voice out that they are not being catered for. And I'm sure Doc will add more as he champions UNPA in this direction.
Definitely, Doc.
Yes.
Well, thank you. If you look at what is really the root cause of many of the conflicts that we see, one could say, or I would say, it's really what the party feels they are dissatisfied with. So there's dissatisfaction in one way or the other. Dissatisfaction of voice not being heard, dissatisfaction of services not being equitably provided, dissatisfaction in economic benefits not being equitably distributed, and dissatisfaction in many forms, and perhaps the space within which to voice that dissatisfaction and have it resolved amicably. Sometimes they feel it's constricted, and therefore they then tend to take up alternative ways of expressing dissatisfaction, which then spill either into terrorism or internal discontent and all those other aspects. So I think that's why we at the UN, we advocate for inclusion, because inclusion gives that voice, give that space for people to raise their voice. And if through our proper governance architecture, such voice is heard and dealt with, then we should be able to contribute to reducing the dissatisfaction and perhaps reducing the conflicts.
Right, that's important. Not, condoning suppression of voices is for the UN. Doc, what are some of the shining examples of the UN's success when you look around?
Thank you. We can look at the success of the UN because it's really based on its founding principle. We can look at the success along its founding principle. As we say, the UN is founded around peace, safeguarding peace in the world, and of course, promoting peace. And if you look at it, the UN has really done a lot in the area of peace. There have been so many peaceful missions. Ghana is again a shining example that have contributed to many peaceful missions, some very successfully resolved, of course, with other member states. UN has set up peace architecture across the globe that helped to support some of this work, of course, working with regional economic commissions, regional groupings like Africa Union or ECOWAS and all that to advance peace in the different parts of the world. Of course, we have the Security Council and all that helped to push this forward. And that's why the current voice, the current concern to expand the membership, increase more voice, increase more participation, is, in our view, a good move in a good direction. The other aspect that we see the UN has done, of course, in the peace and conflict context, is ensuring that even when war and conflict is happening, the most vulnerable people are protected and continue to benefit through humanitarian assistance and services that can help to give life, to save life, and give dignity to them. Right. The other aspect that we can look at that the UN has achieved is in the area of protecting human rights. Again, UN has set up, again, infrastructure for human rights protection from the Global Human Rights Council to national systems. Many countries have adopted the human rights principles in their constitutions. They have set up human rights institutions to help advance some of these causes. Of course, there are still challenges that as UN we continue to work on to make sure that human rights continue to be protected in all its dimensions based on the Human Rights Declaration. Again, UN has also been working to set up the justice system and architecture, the International Criminal Court, and we have seen some actions taken on some of the perpetrators or people alleged to have committed crime. And finally, in the promoting economic and social progress, UN has also done quite a lot there. We have seen UN handling health crises from Ebola, COVID.
Go ahead.
Even now, MPOX that is coming up. We have also seen UN supporting education as part of the social development, women empowerment. You've seen a lot of improvement in gender parity across many countries. Right. Of course, UN cannot claim this completely that it has done it. UN works with and through government and under national priorities. And UN also worked in with national partners and civil society organizations and groups to do all this together.
Definitely.
So it's a collective achievement.
It's a lot of collaborations. Yes. It is. General, activities lined up for today. We're out of time.
Yes. So we already had a peace walk that happened last Saturday on the 19th, and Doc led the charge with other security agencies. And this media engagement that is going on is part of it. We also have a model UN that is carried out by LifeLink schools to demonstrate what happens at the General Assembly. So students come together to represent other countries.
Right. And
then today there will be a flag raising ceremony, and I'm sure Doc will be the one that will speak over there. The armed forces will mount a parade to signify the coming into force of the United Nations.
Amazing.
Yes. So
okay.
You will know that
sure.
Doc is called Wilfred and I'm Winfried. And the names mean peacemakers.
Yeah. Wilfred and Winfried.
We are actually personified in what the UN stands for.
Definitely. I'm sure there'll be activities at the UN General, the main headquarters as well.
Correct.
And Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, will be doing. So the flag hoisting is happening today at, where's the location for the
forecourt of the Foreign Affairs.
Foreign Affairs.
Yes,
okay.
Forecourt of Foreign Affairs.
Is everyone invited?
Yes, you are invited.
Okay, okay. So Foreign Affairs flag hoisting ceremony happening at the Foreign Affairs Ministry. You'd want to go there and see what's happening. There's been media engagements. There's been the peace walk on the 19th. And today climaxes the UN Day. We've been speaking about the justice system, how the UN has propagated for that to be advanced. We've spoken about human rights and advancement of people and equity and equality and inclusion marking the UN Day. I've been speaking to, from my immediate left, Brigadier General Winfried Jandu Hedido. He's Director General in charge of training, General Headquarters, Ghana Armed Forces, and Dr. Wilfred Ochan. He's acting UN resident. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on the show and talking about what will be happening today. We're back with more on GTV Breakfast. My name is Maltiti Saida Sadiq. Please stay.
It's right here on GTV Breakfast, 24th October. When you go through town, the major towns and cities of Ghana, do you look under the bridges, interchanges? What do you see? My colleague Valencia Tete has done a report on what it's like to sleep in the streets of Accra under the interchanges and bridges. You check it out.
Have you ever wondered what you'll do if you suddenly found yourself homeless, unable to pay rent in Accra, and away from close friends and family? Where will you sleep? How will you survive the streets of Accra? For many who came to Accra in search of economic opportunities, the area around the Kwame Nkrumah Circle interchange isn't just for business, it's home too. But what is a person who came from another part of Ghana in search of employment to do when he cannot afford to pay a 2-year rent advance? This is what makes the under of the interchange an obvious choice as a place of residence. However, it is the same place that criminals hide and snatch valuables from citizens in the night. When the news team visited the Kwame Nkrumah interchange area, it was clear that many people have turned the area into their home. They have found another purpose for the pavement blocks, which were used for the walkways for pedestrians. In a chat, Auntie Vida said she migrated from Asante Achem in the Ashanti region to Accra in search of a better life, but ended up on the streets about a year ago.
Nti ahokyere nti na akoye te se ebi mo de da hanom saa. How they from bebre because we are niama if say ni bebre dey niama sinti no we are niama bebre the bia obeta asore obi abefa wo niama ofo ye phone na ye wia me se me boa obi wa che me ye wa che djuma
fro besi na mi nya adwuma nya enti no namfo ne amanfo bi na boa me kakra and sometimes so no say we overhead ase na adofo bi abeche nnuane ama jobless for no na manya bi na mse ne medi dabu bia meche hwe obi amwa me de eche se bitime de kom ekoda
ni tumo e wani mbabie aka ma ni tumo ni ya ga ko kwai mami imbi e komepe e won piota ina queens fio ina wa mile.
Abubakar Abdul Farouk, who also sleeps under the overhead, explained that most of the people he shares the makeshift accommodation with genuinely came to Accra to find decent jobs, but are mistaken for criminals when they go in search of jobs. He said they'll never be able to rent an accommodation in the capital, considering the extremely high cost of rent.
I plait hair and I make a wake up, eyebrows and those kind of things. We don't have a private place to sleep, so we decide to sleep here. And sleeping here is not good. Some of the little accidents are causing us here. So if we are not feeling comfortable to sleep, but you don't have any choice, so you have to sleep. We buy mosquito repellent for them, so I think that will be okay. We have some people they have a mental problem, those kind of things, but not all of us. So if someone in a past mind, the mental that you have a mental problem, you are mad or something like that, but not like that. We are hustlers. Let me say that we are here to hustle to get what we can. Take good care of ourselves, so we have to take it like that. We are Ghanaians. The government will help, but maybe can get a place for us to stay, help us with maybe some work. All of us, somehow have a skill. So ask my brother, he's there, he have a handwork, but you don't get helper. As for we are helpers, so we have a handwork. If you get someone to help our skills, that would be okay.
Teenagers also have no choice but find solace under the overhead. This is the story of Bernice and Ishmael.
My name is brothers nearby, now so one more do. I'm way out to my car, come say, I'm on your den or I'm betting my family is my papa and I'm my school now, so me do form to Namija. Papa name my Majah, so until I'm my mate, and Papa to T region. Now my men so to Northern region, so until I'm one mammy, so me bow from the chair beyond on my friend is in my meow. I can't go one man before now, boy. No brand station, no mamma, your bank best, your bet one member,
Mr. Kwesiedu, a trader in the area, also has some issues.
I did that overhead Nasa Sini, the crying a 21, a higher bar because and your mom one and yet with me. If you fight for more Quran and they are doing so that say more about for but then you go to for more and they we are one or person of fan young and say and so you see cry high they can't go and cabana to one among them so you nap in Viana they report to a man almost shivi almost to say a Joanna crowd when you've been put near common edge almost so that's it. It might be every Saturday we are or the Joanna Band just a man for Joanna now or my mobile one or my yesterday about so I'll be decided and on my form for my.
The Municipal Chief Executive for Korle Klottey, Mr. Samuel Niaje Taria, was on hand to speak with us.
Basically, before you travel from the interlands to come to Accra, probably you should have a family member you are coming to. And then until you are well resourced to rent a place, then you have to live with the family member that you have come to see. But the municipality, I agree, rents in Korle Klottey are expensive, but we don't even have the land space. It's not something we can consider, building places to hold people that are coming from the interlands to have a place to pass the night. That is not an area that we can go into. But we don't even have the space for it. So for that we cannot do. But our advice would be, because we are all Ghanaians, what we can say is we are free to go anywhere in Ghana if we feel there are opportunities that we can take advantage of. But we should all make sure we've made adequate planning or to make sure we have places that will be staying, that is families or friends. And the Assembly cannot take on that responsibility at this point in building places to hold people that have come from other regions to Accra.
According to research, solutions for more affordable housing options for urban dwellers continue to be a challenge for government. Despite this, Ghana's housing deficit witnessed a 33% reduction from 2.8 million in 2010 to 1.8 million in 2021, partly attributable to the real estate boom and a 72.8% increase in residential structures within the period.
There are calls for the government to improve access to affordable housing, provide social support services, and implement strategies to address the root causes of homelessness. Reporting for GBC News, I am Pauline Shatete, Kwame Nkrumah Circle Interchange, Accra.
A home for the homeless, public interest report, and the person who did that report is right here, Valencia. Good job.
Thank you, Carl.
Why did you decide to go and talk to people who live under the interchange?
Okay, so my church is at Circle, and anytime I go to church, you could see people sleeping over there. I thought it was only for night, but then during the day, people sleep over there. And I realized the pavement blocks they've removed it from the ground and mounted it to raise their bed sheets, just to cover up, that kind of box, in the box way. So I thought it was worrying. Why would they remove something that has been done to make way for pedestrians to walk on, and you've removed it and you are mounting it for your safety? And another thing, I thought it wasn't cool they sleeping there, because sometimes when it rains, where would they sleep? How did they survive under the overhead during the rainy season? Mosquito. Some have even given birth over there. And because some people who are mentally challenged also sleep over there. And you can't classify all of them as one people. There are people who are normal sleeping over there. But I asked myself, why would they come and sleep over there? So when I spoke with Auntie Vida, she told me that she is from Asante Achin, but she came to search for greener pastures. But when she came, she didn't have anywhere to sleep, and this is where she could find a place to lay her head. But I was actually worried a bit.
Which of the stories really touched you?
All of them, but because they sleep there, it is not even safe for people to walk there at night. Myself, when I was going to file the report, I was a bit scared. I asked myself, how am I going to start the whole thing? Where am I going to start from? So fortunately for me, the place is also known for criminals. Criminals also hide over there. So I was a bit scared. So fortunately for me, when I got there was one police officer who was actually controlling the traffic over there. So I spoke with him that this is what I'm coming to do, but in case of anything, my safety is in his hands, so he should have his eyes checked on me. He said I shouldn't worry. His eyes are on me, so I shouldn't worry. I can go and do it. So when I got there, the guys didn't want to speak with me. They were high. They didn't want to speak with me, but
how do you know they were high?
They were smoking. Okay. So yes, I realized they were
close to the police officer.
So I got close to them and they didn't want to speak. But I also spoke with those who were sitting on the floor eating, and I told them that this is what I am doing. But then we know this is not a safe place for you. So if you can talk to me, let me know why you are sleeping. Probably there's a challenge. There are one or two things you cannot afford. Maybe going for some benevolence or the government can do something about it. So let us hear. If you don't speak, we can't do anything about it. You are going to be here forever and ever, and you are going to be betting my mosquitoes. The weather condition is also not good for you and the children as well. So then they gave me the open door, and I was able to get my story from.
Their families there?
They have families over there. Yeah, and teenagers as well. One lady, I think Dennis, she is like 15 years old. I asked her, she said she's 15 years. She came all the way to Accra. She didn't have anybody to stay with. And one guy who also told me that he came with his brothers, but they are now at Dodowa. So they are also going to find a place to secure them. So when they get an accommodation, they will call him to come and join him. So at the moment, he has to join his friends on the street to sleep over there. And when I got there, they were actually fighting. It has become, I don't know how to explain it, but I think something should be done.
What do you think would be the solution to this problem of people sleeping under interchanges? How do you solve it? When you spoke to the authorities, did you have a sense that they are confident that they can have a solution? You spoke to the gentleman at the AMA.
Exactly. He is saying that they know rent accommodation in Accra is expensive. But at the moment, they can't also have it on their table to build a place for people who come from other places, other regions to Accra. They can't build something like that for them. But if they are making a move from wherever they are coming from, for any other region they are coming from to Accra, they should make the necessary arrangements so that when they come, they wouldn't find themselves wanting or sleeping under the overheads or sleeping anywhere. They should make the necessary arrangements before they come.
Are they happy under the bridge?
For some, it looks like they are happy. They don't have anywhere to stay, and they've also made friends over there. So when they come back from their daily hustle, they come and meet and have a chit chat, and they flow. It's like it's they are comfortable, but
where do they go to the bathroom?
We have the public bathroom.
Okay, so they use the public bathroom. Where do they cook?
So they buy food.
They buy food.
Yes.
Okay.
So they buy food. They use the public washrooms to do their things, but within them, they don't wish to be there because people classify them as those people who are mentally challenged, but they are not. Yes, they have people who are mentally challenged over there who are also sleeping over there, but then not all of them. And they feel hurt when people classify them as mentally challenged people, and they don't find it cool. But then they can't afford for like 2 years rent. You know how now even now you can't pay for 1 year rent. You have to pay for all the 2 years to be able to have an accommodation in Accra.
The women, did they complain about violence and risk and?
Exactly. So sometimes their items get missing. They will pack their things. By the time they wake up, their items are missing. And you can't blame anybody. Where are you going to find a person to even ask you, take your item from? No, we are all hustlers. We are all trying to peg somewhere. So if your item is missing, who are you going to blame?
Did they complain about the authorities come to chase them away, about people?
So sometimes they come, but the moment they go,
they come
back again because they don't have anywhere to lay their items.
Are you hopeful for a solution for these people who live under the bridges, the interchanges?
I am hopeful. I believe going forward, if we have accommodations or structures that have been built by the government somewhere, if it is possible, they should try to gather these people. I believe we can even build more of a dormitory,
hostel
kind of get some bunk beds in there and accommodate these people. Even if it is 50 cedis you can take from them daily or weekly, after their daily hustle, they can take something out and use it to support. You're not taking 2 year rent or 1 year rent from them, but this daily money will be taken from these people. You'll be able to help manage or take care of the hostel or the structure you put you.
I can feel that you have a very compassionate spirit, and I'm glad that you just didn't pass by them and go to church and go and talk to God, but you brought a microphone to them and got them to tell their story from their own lips. More fire.
Thank you, Carl.
More such stories. Valencia Tete, who didn't just go to church, very intelligently asked a policeman to keep an eye on her. Shout out to the police officer who did that, made her feel safe, and she did her report. That's public interest, and very soon it will happen. Salam alaikum.
Hey!
Stop Galamsey now is the hashtag, Jay. Yeah, stop Galamsey now. And if you see those videos and it doesn't move anything in you, well, I don't know which water you're anticipating drinking by 2025. What my director is saying, I can't say it, but by 2025, where will we
I want to hear what he's saying.
And the big one says, brouhaha in Parliament. Majority caucus gathers 83 signatures to initiate recall of House. And that's the Speaker, His Batakari.
Yeah, gone through most of the papers this morning.
The Daily Guide, Richard Ahiagba in the photo.
The Chronicle. And the verse for today is Ephesians 5:11. And have no... Okay.
No rot.
It's so blurry.
Yeah,
yes. It's a test.
The Finder will bring you the verse, don't worry. But the Finder, because we have the clergy in the studio today. Inflation. IMF calls for vigilance amid rising risks, which could reverse progress made.
The Daily Searchlight. Battle. Moving on
to the Daybreak, and the Daybreak says Bawumia taunts Mahama with 33 top policies.
Okay.
That's our last paper to bring you the throwback, take you down memory lane.
Yeah, so for now we'll throw it to
King Kaf and the clergy.
Akacham, thank you very much. Well, I will say what you are a witch or a wizard. I was first Kafui Day reporting for duty with my friends and big brothers in the house. Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete is the president and founder of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach, and Sheikh Arabia Shaibu is the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. Gentlemen, very good morning to you.
Good morning, and good morning to Rev.
Good to see you. Let's shake hands.
Welcome. You're looking good, sir.
Reverend, how's it?
Nice, great.
Yes.
Very good.
Sheikh, how are you?
Doing very well, thanks to Almighty God.
How's your boss?
My old man is doing very well.
Awesome.
Kicking.
Awesome.
Yes.
Great stuff. So I'm sure you've been, last week, all this stuff hadn't happened. And now all the issues in Parliament suspended indefinitely, recall of the House by the MPP, NDC plot, according to the MPP. Has the Zoom MP decided to go back to the party? How about Ogona West? Yes, no, a whole lot of things going on in Parliament. What are your thoughts? I think I'll start first of all with Sheikh, because you're on the Peace Council. The Peace Council spoke to the party. Who did you speak to?
No, it's a silent something.
Okay.
As usual.
Which parties did you speak to? You spoke to the parties?
Yes, yes, especially the Right Honourable Speaker.
You spoke to the Speaker.
Yeah,
okay,
yes,
all right.
Yes. Interest in me is when the Speaker arrived at the Parliament, when we have seen clearly both parties were claiming the majority status. I mean, and the NDC had already occupied the majority position. And when he arrived, Kafui, if you can get, because in a state of prayer, prayer, I'm sure Reverend will also give a certain, definition or to prayer. But in a general sense, prayer is the outpouring of our hearts regarding that which we desire, which we are unable to do, and those we push into the realms of the divine to invoke and activate, the power of God into our lives. So that which we are unable to do, He takes it over and do it. But it must come with our commitment in reflection of that which we desire.
Let me give you the prayer.
Yeah, yes.
I found the prayer of the Speaker, the one he prayed when he came into the House 2 days ago. Almighty God, we humbly beseech Thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of
as a nation, as Kafui reads this, please, as a nation, listen to those of you who can reflect the words used. And I call on our politicians also to be reflective of these words. Okay.
Please repeat that word again, reflect.
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 As a nation, why is it that in the minds of the framers of our Constitution and the procedures of Parliament, that we see prayer of these words have to precede and to commence business of Parliament? Look, I said to our if it is a useless thing to do, can we cancel it? But as a nation of God consciousness, we cannot remove it. That's how our Constitution begins, in the name of the Almighty God. Our national anthem begins, God bless our homeland, Ghana. So let's now.
Okay. We're actually going to get the prayer, it as being spoken by the speaker himself. So when we get that one, I want him so that it will be coming from his own lips. Yeah. So we're getting that footage for you. But it was a very powerful prayer. I heard
powerful prayer.
Yeah.
In fact, I never reflected that because we have met with a meeting with between the chief imam and the former Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Mike Quay. Yeah. And when he was going to begin, in fact, that was the prayer he said. But I did not reflect on it. It didn't hit me
at this time around.
But this time around, in a very sober moment, and I became interested in those words.
We're looking for that prayer. Yes. As soon as we get it, we will play it back.
Yes.
I want to go on the lines right now and speak with the Dean, the Faculty of Arts, University of Cape Coast. He's an analyst on issues to do with the parliamentary discourse. Your thoughts on the standoff in Parliament and the last couple of days that have gone by? What are your initial reflections and thoughts on what's going on in our House?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kafui, and good morning to your panel members, the two revered persons.
Thank you.
In your studio.
Thank you.
One, I'm told that the majority side, or the MPP parliamentary caucus, is inviting the Speaker to recall Parliament.
Yes.
Which means they are invoking Article 112+3, where 15% of MPs can recall, ask the Speaker to recall Parliament. What it means, virtually about 12 members of Parliament can do that. And then, apart from that, if you look at Article 102, the issue of quorum of Parliament, 1/3 of MPs can form a quorum. What it means is that if they get about 92 or so MPs in Parliament, government business can go on. So after invoking that, then we will go back to the Supreme Court said, which has been swiftly and intelligently maneuvered by the Speaker of Parliament, because he said he didn't have the quorum to be able to conduct business, so sitting adjourned indefinitely. If the recall works, that is within 7 days of receipt of that application by the members of Parliament. If the Speaker comes back, then we go back to the issue of whether the Speaker is going to go by what the Supreme Court said. Because when they come back to Parliament to say it, the usual issue of who will sit on the right side of the Speaker and who are going to sit on the left side will come up. So we go back to the issue of that controversy of who forms the majority at this point. But for me, Kafui, what I have said is that a common sense approach to this whole issue is what we have to put in place. We have to deploy that. Because if we take entrenched positions as the two caucuses have taken, what it means is that government business is not going to go on.
Yes.
It is going to be very difficult for us to move on as a country. So I believe that we must deploy that common sense approach to the issues. Because, you see, as a developing democracy, we are going to be facing some of these challenges. And it is through these challenges that we learn to, to develop our laws and our processing and democracy. So I don't see this as a big deal, but it has become a big deal because people have taken entrenched positions. I call on the members of Parliament to use a common sense approach. And if you even go into law, there's always a common sense approach. And the common sense approach will normally come into play when you want to consider the public interest part of policies. The public interest policy will mean that how do we get to do government business so that Ghana will move on? If we take the entrenched positions and that we are not going to do government business, then what happens for the rest of the year? Even the Minister of Finance cannot present the budgetary statement. So when we get into next year Parliament, including, I'm told, CI for the elections, we have 40-something days to go into elections. How do we get this of the public interest So, for example, I'll give you a very typical example. If you, I'm not a lawyer though, but what I know is that when you are reading constitutions and what have you, you don't rely solely on one clause. Of course, Article 97 says that if you switch carpet, you lose a seat. But if you go to Article 112, it says that 3 months into an election, that's 1126, 3 months into an election, you can hold a by-election. What it means that if, let's say, 10 MPs or 20 MPs switch carpets within that period, and you say they should leave Parliament, what it means that their constituencies are not going to be represented. This is a common sense approach. So if I were a leader, I would say because of that, we can let things go so that we can do government business. Now, this is a very common thing that happens in law. And those who do law will tell you that if we're interpreting a law, there are three major ways of doing that. The first one is the literal approach. So we can look at Article 97 and say that it says A, B, C, D. If we're an independent MP and you join a party and seek to remain in Parliament as a member of a certain party, you lose your seat. That's literally, that is what it says. So you lose it. But if you read that in tandem with other issues and public interest issues, then you go for another way of interpreting the law. Is it the mischief rule, that is, or purposive rule? What was the purpose? What was the mischief or the issue that the law sought to clear or kill?
Right.
If you can identify that, then you can give it a certain purposive interpretation, or you go for the other one that is called the golden rule. So you over there, that is where all kinds of issues will come into play and say that because of A, B, C, D, if you go by the literal interpretation of what is there, we are going to get to a situation where we cannot do government business. But because we have Ghana first, we have to go by a golden rule interpretation or a purposive rule of interpretation so that we can get to run. Now that Parliament has been suspended or sitting has been adjourned indefinitely, how are we going to be able to do government business so you and I can benefit from what Parliament is supposed to do? So for me, and the other side of it is that, you see, conflicts must always end at a point in time. And that is why, if you look at all the issues, when it comes to resolving conflicts, when it comes to resolving issues, the biggest body to do that is the Supreme Court. You can do everything. After the Supreme Court's decision, no one does any other thing. So whether the Supreme Court actually interprets the law, but they say Parliament is a law unto itself, the supremacy of Parliament, and that thing is not absolute. Because on the heels of separation of powers is also checks and balances. Who checks who in terms of the three arms of government? The biggest body that does that is the Supreme Court, because their decision is final. And carefully, the Supreme Court's decision can be wrong. It can be right. No matter how weak or wrong it is, no one can change it.
Right.
So for me, I feel that when the Supreme Court has made a decision, we should go by it. There is always a future to change the decision of a Supreme Court, because Supreme Courts, that is why they have even reviews of their own decisions.
Indeed.
So if today there's a decision that is wrong, in the near future, there will be an opportunity to change that. Okay. But at the moment they declare a decision, they make a decision, no one can change it. So if I were maybe the Speaker of Parliament, I'll use a common sense approach, and let's say that the final arbiter of all conflicts is the Supreme Court, especially when it comes to laws. So the moment the Supreme Court has made a decision, whether it is right or wrong, let's go by it so there could be peace, so that Ghana can run, so that Parliament can do its work. And then we move on.
Okay.
I mean, these are my views about what has been going on. Otherwise, the entrenched positions will not help Ghana, will not help us. Business will not run, and then where do we go?
So the common sense approach is what Professor Kwabena Safo Nkantanka, Dean, Faculty of Arts, UCC, is suggesting. Thank you so much for your time and for your deep, rich insight. 83 signatures to date. Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, what do you make of all that is going on? What are your views?
I think Sheikh began very well. And with that prayer that we didn't listen to, we still want to listen to prayer.
The prayer was coming, don't worry.
From the very beginning of the 8th Parliament, we had issues.
It started with blows.
It started with karate, kung fu, shutugan, taekwondo,
and military presence.
And so to begin
chewing
with,
of ballots.
That was wrong, a non-starter. It brings me back to a Bible quotation I love, that if the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? Then we continued. I believe that to some extent I take what Professor said, but I also think we should create a balance there. Everything should not rest in the hands of the Supreme Court. As a student of government in O levels and A level, of course, we read about the 3 arms of government: the executive that represents the presidency, the legislature that represents Parliament, and the judiciary that represents the court, the Supreme Court, of course. And then we also learn about separation of powers. The powers of the judiciary, the powers of the legislature, and the powers of the executive. And then I remember very well writing that exams, we also wrote about checks and balances. I think that is what we are missing it here. If we don't act maturely, and democracy for Ghana is being tested now, the whole wide world is watching us, how we conclude this thing. And I pray that God gives wisdom to Sheikh and his team in the Peace Council to be able to navigate this thing very well. Truly, I agree with the professor, entrenched positions will not solve the problem. But we are in a very sensitive time. If we don't handle this matter very well, if we don't get cool heads that are responsible and wise and sensitive to our current situation and happenings, we can create a mess in this country through this. And the truth is that there are a lot of people in Parliament today, I must say, who still are behaving like young men. They are behaving like young girls. They are behaving like, I want to take this. I'm hearing certain statements from NPP and NDC parliamentarians, and some of them, I think it's a shame. They are not being responsible. The choice of, we want to bring solution now. And Kafui, in bringing solution, we need a point of convergence. As a nation in Ghana, we strongly need a point of convergence to bring this thing, because the law can be interpreted any way. If we take the Supreme Court rule and we take the parliamentary rule and everybody want to take an entrenched position, we'll be missing of West matters. Those of you who are behaving like schoolboys, we are no more in school. NPP spokespeople and NPP spokespeople learn that the choice of words we make today will aggravate this situation when we get to Parliament. Kafu, I'm very keen on that prayer.
Yes, we're finding it. We are getting it for you. Don't worry.
Because it's a statement that I think, and as a nation, Sheikh, I don't know how you pick that thing for you. In fact, you preempt me. that prayer, they don't mean it. We Ghanaians don't walk the talk. They just talk. Everybody, and from the executive and judiciary and this, and it's a shame. I feel very sad for Christianity in Ghana. No, I feel sad for Christianity.
We all.
Prof, you know why I feel sad? Sheikh. Yes. Our president is a Christian. He's an Anglican. Our Supreme Court judge is ICC, a charismatic, and our Speaker of Parliament is a Catholic. Now, these are supposed to be very strong and potent Christians. How can they sit down for this thing to happen? I think that we must go back to the books again, the Word of God that straightens and directs. Sheikh and Kafwe, this is my take. We must be responsible, and we must be guided by the choice of words we speak. And we must know that we are supposed to be bringing solution, and Parliament should not be turned to a place where people think they are behaving like schoolboys. We are no more in school. They are mature people, and our constituents are watching them. And I'm seeing certain people misbehave both NPP and NDC speakers that I expect to be responsible are not being responsible with their choice of words. And the fact that you've been given a responsibility or you have the microphone before you doesn't mean that you create chaos. Let's be minded with how we approach it.
Sheikh, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, when the speaker,
your prayer is loading, don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, when the speaker told them he has sitting indefinitely, I was asking myself, so these is how many are there? Is it 275 parliamentarians representing all of us? So how did they feel that government business is going to be brought to a halt? So it is about them in the parliament, 275, not about the 32 million Ghanaians.
You want to hear the prayer now?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
All right. So this is the prayer that Right Honourable Speaker Bagbin uttered when he got into Parliament 2 days ago. Take notes, because I'll be asking you questions.
Honourable members, may we rise and submit ourselves to God in prayers. We humbly beseech thee to look with favour upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty public. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving. A country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the reality, inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen.
Those are the words.
I mean, can you see the full expression of a collective vision of a people in the parliament? Wrong the other. You know, so it is so clear to us that if anyone sits there or rejoice when the whole business of parliament is brought to a halt, when we are less than 2 months to an election, them will, I mean, he used the words of sacrifice. What does the word sacrifice means? And their collective egos of their political parties in an era where, let me, to use Professor Adjumani Bafo's words, we are doing competitive adversarial democracy. Competitive adversarial democracy, where our politics in the parliament is about we and them. It's not about we, and looking broadly into the national collective interest. The whole business of the nation is brought to a halt, and they are rejoicing. They're careless. They have no worry. So because of what they are doing, the impressions they want to give to their supporters out there, these things must happen to us. And 275 politicians will hold us to ransom and sacrifice the interest and the concerns of 32 million Ghanaians. I'm seriously worried. I'm seriously worried, and I tell our young people who are 30 years, 40 years, thereabout, and you are also now planning to come. Think about the future of the self-service is what we are doing. And unless, indeed, we give a new look to our kind of politics. Look, this call, and they'll be so reckless in the way they're doing, and they'll care less what happens to the future of this nation. And Reverend, like we said, Me and Reverend, we are not growing any younger. And those who are older than us, yesterday I was listening to this nice man, economic luminary, PNM.
Yes.
You know, so I look at how he has grown.
He's not young anymore.
I look at how he's grown, and he's thinking no more now into the future. So that's how we will all fade into oblivion and leave you, the young people, with the serious problem to solve. And those who are older than you are also there participating in it. They will die, and I will die, Reverend will die, like I know in all certainty. Problem to be dealing with generation after generation. And we'll have no justification to blame anybody. Whilst I listened to those prayers, and in fact, when he finished, he caused the national pledge to also be read. What impression did they give to the younger ones who are coming? What do they represent in that parliament? What do they raise? But let me quickly chip in that. I was listening to a television program. As a young lady who gave her life story. So she came to Kumasi, tried to eke a living. It didn't work for her. She came to Accra. When she came to Accra, she tried to. She said in Twi, and I'm Kobo 2-2. Charlie. When I heard that thing, I was sitting alone.
She went into prostitution.
Prostitution. These are the things we must be concerned about. Not about your policy, your NPP, NDC. I saw my own daughter in that girl. My own daughter, Fatima. Yes. Whose life I so cherish, and I want to put her on a footing that will make her truly independent and responsible in her life. I saw my daughter in that girl, and I'm Kobo 2-2. And when she was saying so, I mean, she's saying so with courage, but you can see in her eyes a certain worry. If you look at her, this girl could have grown.
And I was just looking at some statistics which shows that, which claims that 80% of Support Chief Executive of Ayawaso West, Sandra Owusu Ahinkra, says 80% of the East Legon Ashawos. So that's.
I have had the chance. The number of boys and girls in Legon who are HIV positive, you have the biggest shock of your life. This is sad, and I'm happy I'm saying this on national TV. Some of these young girls and young boys already on campus are living promiscuous life, and they have already contracted HIV/AIDS. These are people I have prayed for
on campus as we speak.
Yes, sir. And I'm not talking about 10 years, 5 years, 2 years. In fact, people then now, but it's sad. And if some of them tell you how they get into it, because what is happening is that some of these girls go to the places, and then when they come back, they also connect with the boys and girls there. So a lot of people think you're getting a boy or getting a girl.
You're spreading it. Watch out. You go to school to get an education.
Some of them, they go there and they went to school, but they are marrying in school because they are cooking for the girls and they are cooking for the boys, and then you forget about the school, and then you kind of mess. You end up not finishing. I feel very sad about what I'm saying now because I know what I know. And there's this particular girl who, just like what Sheikh said, I'm sorry, give me 2 seconds.
Yes.
Just like what God says, to be in University of Ghana. And to think that, I think it's third year or second year. Third year.
Partners know that she's HIV positive.
I mean, some of these things, I've gathered a lot of courage to speak it in this way. Can I be honest with you? We are dying. The boy doesn't mean no.
What does it mean?
Doesn't know. Doesn't know. It's hard to be. I have to be mindful. I have to keep, but it's not right. So. Let us, Sheikh, you are right. We seem to, we don't prioritize in this nation. It's the thing I'm talking about. The word I want to use is that this nonsense must stop.
Yeah, so let's focus on the real
thing. Let's focus on the real thing. Look, there's very pertinent issues in Ghana we should be addressing. This is an ego thing. Supreme Court and legislature, they are just playing ego. It's just power play. And these things can be handled very well with a lot of maturity because the nation itself is sinking. Black Star is sunk. A lot of places. Look, the only thing that gives us joy, Black Star, today. Why? Something is wrong spiritually.
So let's focus on
something is wrong spiritually, and we need to handle it. We need to pray.
Okay. Serious issues that need to be addressed. One of them include what is represented in the bottles that we have on our desk. I was looking at the word River Pra, and it sounds so much like to wound in Twi.
Apra.
Prano. Apra. Prano. Apro. Also.
Apra. Prano.
Apro too is the same.
It's rotten.
Literally, the pra is wounded.
Prano.
Apra. Prano. Apra.
Prano. Apra. The pra is wounded.
Ya prano.
Ya prano.
And so the pra is bleeding.
Prano.
It's bleeding. Emu moja na egu saa no na asesa ne ni aye kokko no. Asesa ne ni aye kokko no. Pra no ni moja. Ni moja na egu saa no. Asesa ne ni na ekọ ye punum no. Ne ye nam ne hia so essay. Enti nananom me de me samba mo nkyɛn biem. Mo asase so na saa ewudie ne ekọ so.
And I'm glad you're saying this, because the person on the line is part of 3 MPs who have introduced a private member's bill to repeal the legislative instrument which allows people to mine in forest reserves. On the line right now, who do we have on the line? I believe we have the MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu. Good morning, Honorable Sosu. You and 2 other colleagues have introduced a private member's bill to repeal Section 3.2 of the Environmental Protection Mining in Forest Reserves Regulations, LI 2462. Who are your compatriots in this exercise?
Thank you very much, Kafui. Good morning to your cherished listeners. So this bill was crafted by myself, Honorable Sohini, who is now, in our view, the chairman of the Environment Committee, or the committee in Parliament that oversees issues of environment, as well as my good brother, Honorable Samuel Okujato Ablakwa. And this has been necessitated because we believe government has not shown commitment in repealing the LI that allows for mining in forest areas, and also government has not shown commitment to the fight against Galamsey as they should. What they have done is just to, in a very politically correct way, interfere with almost all the citizens that either are protesting or organized labor that are making definite demands on the government. But beyond the promises, the government hasn't shown any firm commitment. So we believe that given the rest of the lifespan of this parliament, which is supposed to end by the midnight 6th of January 2025, we would be able to work together to repeal at least this provision that allows for mining in forest areas as our own contribution towards the fight against illegal mining or galamsey happening in forest regions that endangers our collective survival.
This LI that was introduced in 2022, it's almost 2 years now. What has happened to our forests?
Honestly, you can see, statistics and data available shows that prior to the passing of this very LI, our forest reserves were protected. They were protected areas. But since the passing of this LI, the president has signed just so many, granted so many licenses over our forest reserves. In fact, all the mining activities you see now in the various forests around, the country are as a result of this LI. And guess what? There are a few who have also taken advantage of the fact that because the president is granting licenses over forest areas, they can also get into people's farms, clear off cocoa farms so they can do mining, People are destroying oil palm plantations so they could do illegal mining. And honestly speaking, this endangers our collective survival, and it violates the right to intervene in a way as to garage of no return. It's a part of collective destruction.
So you submitted this bill on Tuesday, is that correct?
Absolutely.
What does it mean? I mean, how does it progress through the system? I mean, your sittings are suspended indefinitely. How does that affect this particular member?
When a bill is submitted, there are a number of administrative things that takes place before it finally is read the first time. The clerk of parliament is being minuted to the drafting department. So the drafting department is not going to patience, and we are not violating any rules. And once the drafting department confirms that, the drafting department will do a final draft. Because the private members bill, it comes back to my committee because I now chair the private members bill committee, and our committee would review it and advise speaker. And from that space, once speaker admits it, it is gazetted, and after the gazette, we do the first reading. It's referred to the committee of environment, and once the committee looks at it and presents its report to the House, we then do the clause-by-clause consideration. Given the fact that this is just a provision that is being repealed, this can take place in a space of a week, 2 weeks, once Parliament reconvenes.
I do remember clearly that as part of the recommendation, the suggestions from the executive to deal with issues of that were causing all these protests, there was a suggestion that the Attorney General will trigger the processes to have this particular LI repealed. What would you say to people who say you are jumping the gun by presenting this private members bill when the arrangement was that the AG was going to present this particular thing through the EPA for it to be repealed?
Well, we are here to do the work of people of Ghana, and it doesn't matter whether Attorney General will or will not do it. The fact is that somebody got to do it. And I am happy if Attorney General says that tomorrow, I've triggered an action and I'm going to finish this within a short possible time. Now, we must understand that private members' bills necessarily may not pass by the private members that first introduced the bill. Once government is interested in that policy and is willing to take over the policy and quickly pass them, why not? We are happy to do that. Right. But we cannot all sit down aloof and just be looking and waiting. So if the government does nothing, then nothing gets done about those things. And so, like I said, we are happy if Attorney General comes today and say, look, let's just do this together. We've triggered the process and that we've laid an instrument before Parliament and let the instrument mature so that it will repeal the LI. Why not? But, that way of leadership where you are waiting for someone to take an action and you don't think that it's your duty to take an action for us, we don't believe that is the way to go. Mahatma Gandhi says that be the change you want to see in society. Mm-hmm. If you really believe in this cause, then take action, and that's exactly what we've done.
Let me ask an ignorant question as my final submission to you. Let's assume that Parliament is recalled after the triggering by the MPP, and the Speaker reverses his decision on the 4 MPs. And then the MPP now becomes majority. How that affect this particular private members bill? Will it affect it in any way?
Well, it won't affect it in any way. We were in minority when I introduced a number of private members bills. Some got passed, and even one had presidential assent. Mm-hmm. So it's immaterial whether the MPP regains their majority. But let me put this on record. That is impossible. It is impossible because that would be a constitutional infraction. It is just impossible for FPP to regain majority in Parliament. Unless, I don't even know how that's going to happen because as we speak now, all the seats that have been declared vacant, people who have already filed processes and they are on notice to oppose of the electoral commissioner. Unless we are rewriting our constitution, the situation that is being described, that the MPP could be majority again, is impracticable. And so everybody must get it very clear. The Supreme Court of Ghana cannot rewrite the Constitution of Ghana. And the Supreme Court of Ghana cannot create a majority when none exists. So everybody must understand this very, very clearly. the MPP can be majority in parliament, in court. But when it comes to the floor of parliament, which is the people's house, the MPP cannot. They cannot in any way regain majority. Unless maybe some extraordinary things happen, and maybe some members of parliament or the part of the NDC, God forbid, are no more, maybe for whatever extraneous reason. But as the numbers stand now, NPP remains 136, and NPP remains 135, and NDC has a commanding majority in parliament.
We'll leave you here. Thank you so much, Member of Parliament for Madina, the Honorable Francis Xavier Sosu, who with Honorable Suyini, who is Tamale North MP, and Honorable Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa MP for North Tongue, have all introduced a private member's bill to repeat LI 2462, which currently allows people to go and dig up forests looking for the material on our fingers. Gold. Yeah. Your thoughts on that before we get the last person to speak?
You know, I'm still worried about how we are handling this Galamsey thing. With all the demonstrations and the noise that we made thinking it will have an effect, it doesn't seem to have any effect. The past few days I've been speaking with some people I know in some mining areas, and they don't even think anything is going on at all, because the effect is not going down there. Our police must wake up. Our army must wake up. Our arms of government must wake up. There must be some level of measures that will compel people to stop. And truly, like I said, the excavators and machines that are brought to do the digging don't go through the air by magic. It go through the port. It's cleared by human beings. And who signs those things? Who endorses those things? So once again, Kafui, please, I'm calling on the presidency. I'm calling on our parliamentarians. I'm calling on our judiciary. Instead of all these fights we are having, let us see how we can salvage our nation. Because if you look at what the PRA is submitting to the sea, and the BRIM is submitting to the sea, and Densu is submitting to the sea, these things we are seeing on the screen now would not augur very well for us. Not only are we killing ourselves now, also killing the generation to come. And for me, this must not happen.
This is nonsense.
It must
stop. Jake, Galamsey issues. 2462.
Whether it's the Attorney General that triggers, the private members bill, or the NDC trial. The important thing for me now is that you ask him a very good question. So, under the circumstance now that the proceedings of Parliament has been suspended indefinitely, how do we get this? Even with all the best of intentions, how do we get this things through? And it is clear. In spite of all the procedures that he mentioned, this thing must end up in the Parliament before it can be passed. So if we are truly interested, like Reverend said, and the professor said, a certain common sense and certain compromises, when there is tight conflict, and yet we can see the good in the future that we all need to, then that's where the compromises come and the sacrifices come, as was emphasized in the prayer. Even behind the scenes conversations, that together, both MPP and NDC can together behind the scenes begin to say, look, this thing is not in the best interest of our nation. So it's not about what the position that you want to express, so that your supporters will see that you are the tough one. And both of them are doing so. Both of them. You want to prove, you want to really impress your grassroots supporters. I mean, the man is talking tough for us. So it's not even about the important thing that we all want to deal with respect to this water that is getting more and more polluted. So I come back to the broader national interest and the way I want to see our parliamentarians behaving. Other than that, we'll keep on doing this and then we don't know which party comes to power after the election.
Yeah.
We'll be dilly-dallying around this thing, and we are not hearing clearly a certain strong commitment from both parties. We are not hearing. How do they want to tackle this? We are not hearing that. So we'll be just dancing around this matter, and then finally we go to election, and then only God knows what the future. Yeah. But I think that removing it, depoliticizing this, I bring it back to our chiefs. It is on their land. Look.
They were able to stop
they can repeal,
a presidential candidate from
yes,
but were able to sack a presidential candidate from campaigning in their area because he didn't come to say hello to them.
Yeah. Yes, they able to sack him.
So why can't you?
Why can't they do same?
Exactly.
So look, even if they trigger this LI, to stop in our forests and so on and so forth, how long will those soldiers who are going to enforce it? It is soldiers and police.
Yeah.
The same people.
Let's talk about enforcement and security implications, because we have a former chief of defense staff of the Ghana Armed Forces on the line right now, General Joseph Nunu Mensah, retired. Good morning, General. I know you are very concerned about what's happening in Ghana. Galamsey, top of mind, I'm sure, and even parliament issues.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. What's really bothering you this morning?
This morning I watched right from the start when you were showing these homeless people.
At Seko, yes.
People who have nowhere to sleep. It's terrible. I never believed that Ghana will reach this kind of situation. And we are there. Young people can get, it looks so terrible. And then, in spite of all these things, we are in Parliament. In fact, there was this Professor Safo, he made a remark. I think
Safo
saying that people can deal with guarantee because they fear losing votes. So Ghana must die. So you must die. You must. What kind of nonsense is this? Today, even I could eat fish from Winneba because the host is polluted. And the pollution is traveling across the length and breadth of this country. And the politicians who are elected to safeguard us, to take decisions to affect us, they fear to lose votes, so we must die. This nonsense has to stop. It has to stop because, how can look, I was born in are you with me?
I'm listening to you, sir.
We are saluting. I was born in Winneba, among fishermen. Maternal grandfather, away from Beta. Paternal grandfather from Winneba, with fishermen all the way. And I'm seeing things over the past couple of years. The fishes we've had are all going extinct. They are being killed off. As everybody says, we should have the pure set aside for the fish to breathe. Who told him this? I'm a fisherman, right from there, from Beta and from Winneba. We have destroyed the whole of our environment. We are killing ourselves. And those we elected to go and protect us are taking a vote more than our lives. Now, I am going to fight because now it's my life or the guarantee. The problem is it's very difficult one. If you were honest and want to deal with it, I would tell the president, get me, I'm too old now. No, but one major general, one infantry officer, come to me and tell him what your solution to the plan is. Your plan to the solution, the problem is. And I will tell him, it's not difficult to do it. It can be done. But they are choosing political interest over national interest, over our life, which is wrong. Because when you look at Ghana today, you were discussing this issue with Reverend Tete and
Sheikh.
This very issue.
Sheikh Arimia.
I can't believe that as people, Ghanaians, our parliamentarians will go to parliament and choose to do what they are doing when we are in a crisis. Look, I bought a yam for 35 seats, 350,000 old seats. How can this happen? And that yam wasn't good enough. If I don't send money every week to my people, they all die of hunger. And we are wasting our time talking about what? Who is the majority, who is the minority? What kind of nonsense is this? When we are dying, we are hungry. Are you serious? So So when I want somebody push up, where them Jerry Rollins and come and say enough is enough of you, why won't you understand them? We haven't got time for Ghana. Youth are women in cities. They're hungry. Nobody mind them. That's my concern.
I thank you for, cutting to the heart of the matter that we need to focus on the important things.
Yes. As a nation. We are not prioritizing. We are not prioritizing at all as a nation. In fact, the things we spend our energy on are things we can avoid. And I pray that God helps us to do what is right. Because Ghana must triumph.
Sheikh, you have any questions for General?
Oh, I mean, he's one of our very respected elders, and anytime he speaks, I feel excited. I just probably at this age, for example, if he wants to give us a sense of what kind of politics he thinks better solves our problem, I don't know what runs into his mind.
General, you are approaching 90. What? The question is about what kind of how should we be doing our politics?
What should be the nature of politics that better shapes the future of our country at an age of maybe close to 90 or more than 90. I think you must be now thinking of what you leave behind, the kind of Ghana you leave behind, even if you fade into oblivion.
What worries me, and sadly now, the Ghanaians coming today, I know we're near the Ghanaians of the past. I was told this yesterday that one very old, respectable Ghanaian public servant, my children, I don't want to hear it before, children, 101 years old. Now, this man was special secretary, and those days I was chief of staff, the minister of defense. He was a fantastic man. Those people, for some reason, I don't know whether in Ghana here alone or across the world, we are not producing them anymore. Honest, selfless people who love their nation, who will die for their country. You don't have them anymore. When you look at our development from independence, the people we had, the Nkrumah, the producers, the people we had, other young people, John Tetega, the footballers, Infum, Baba Yara, Ajay, and all these runners, Makahi, these people love their country. Nobody loves Ghana today. They're just fighting for themselves. What kind of human beings are we today? I went to do me, who look and say, here was a man, let's be like him. But no, all they're doing is buy the new Land Cruiser they will buy, the newest model, all of them. And the country is sinking. Ghana is dying. About 15 years ago, I made a statement, now to that late President Mills, and I said something which yesterday, I saw this and I said, as if I spoke of it yesterday. I said that politics of bickering and backbiting between individuals will destroy this country if it didn't stop it. And I said it 14, 15 years ago. I remember it's part of Ghanaian times. And we are now in the thick of it. I mean, your parliament, majority leader, whether majority or minority, and what? People are sitting in the sun at Makola without shade, without toilets, and we don't think about them. What kind of parliament are we? What kind of politics are we doing? What kind of politics are we doing? You don't care about the people. Look at the Ghanaians. Look at you saw a piece on your TV network about the pra joining the sea. The pra is like coffee with milk, and the sea is nice and blue. When they join, you can see what's happening there. All the fishes we are eating, waiting, they are dead. My father was a fisher, my grandfather was a fisher, my grandfather both sides. So I know fishing very well before I went to school. They see that you have killed everything. And the people who are elected to go to parliament and think about this country, look at what they are doing. They are dancing for parliament. And when people are hungry, young people can't get jobs. I didn't go to school early. I didn't go to school, and we don't care about it. They are making promises in this thing. If you will do this, you will give you free education. What free education without what to do with it? Not stupid. We tell people who can even get the pain to carry. Nothing to do. Sleeping rough. Instead of you concern yourself with these problems and doing something about them. At my age, I get so sad about Ghana. So sad about Ghana. That Ghana is going like this. So please, I'm appealing to our people, the president, whoever is elected, whether it's your mom, whatever. You don't get much promise for me, but the problem is big and deep and serious. The world doesn't think of us anymore. I am going to borrow money. Where's the money? We're going to build a cathedral when people are hungry. You are the church in your hand. Can you worship God on your hand? And yet you are people, public servants around politicians who I don't know where their brains are. I will not do this, and I will not do it. I will tell my peace of mind to whoever is the leader. This is wrong. Don't do it. You do it, I leave. Like I left Rollins and I go away. But you don't have people like that anymore, and that is what is needed in Ghana and Africa today, in the world today. Look at even Greater America. That is happening in America.
Yeah.
Look at the fraud where it's coming out of the politics going on there. It's sad, The world is lost. It's lost. So you must wake up. We are asleep. We are in slumber.
I thank you so much. God bless you, sir. Thank you so much, General Joseph Nunu Mensah, former Chief of Defense Staff, giving us his thoughts on what's happening in the state of the nation so far in terms of the fight against Galamsey, what's going on in Parliament, and his thoughts about the future. And for a man who's almost 90 years to be speaking like this, you must know that he's speaking with a very long perspective and thinking about the country that you leave behind him. Your message, the education policies of the National Democratic Congress. Boom, messages. Gigi Homeku. I cherish your men so much. Please, only the two of you can help. He's not confident in all the MPs, and he thinks the two of you can help. Just two men. A few good men. There's a movie like that. Look for it. It's great. A few good men. Come on, GTV. It's good all these things crop up in our dispensation as we grow in democracy. So he's thinking that it's an opportunity for us to learn new things. I salute you for your sense of patriotism. Please tell Sheikh I've always listened to him on religious matters and national issues. I'm moved with his level of selflessness. Wisdom Ayambila from Bolgatanga, one of the cleanest cities I visited in this country. Beautiful place. I love the Bolga people.
Very hot.
Yes, yeah. Hot, yes. We should be growing more trees in our cities. I'm not interested in any partisan politics. Take those messages away. What else? What do we have? Good morning. Can today's Thursday panel appear at least twice a week to address the nation on pressing issues that our authorities should focus on? Their passion in addressing these issues are deep-centered and will bring peace and harmony to the nation. It's a big sacrifice for them to come here. Some of them leave all kinds of things. Both of them leave all kinds of things to be here. We are grateful for the one day out of the week that they are here with us. We won't push our luck. So please, let them stay with all our Thursday.
Thank you for defending this.
No.
Since at that early morning.
I know how it is. I do it 5 days a week. So if you do it once a week, I know where I'm speaking from. I am so fatigued by our political discourse and the needless drama that comes with it sometimes. We need to uphold sacredness of truth and provide moral leadership. Charles Mensah, Tema West. Hey, this one is from my hometown. I must read it. Tanyigbe. Otherwise, don't allow me to come back. Good morning from Tanyigbe Kofi. You want to know where was the professor when Jechi Kwesi was sacked from Parliament? Okay. What about the people of Santrophi? Akpafu, Lulubi, and Likpa. Yes, for 4 years now, they don't. Why don't they deserve representation in Parliament? Okay, so you are giving us.
I hear this time they will vote.
We hope so. We hope so. Hashtag this nonsense must stop. That's the only message the person gave us today. Yes, Togwe Ghana. He's an environmentalist. That's all he sent. 4 words.
Tell him he should come and pay me for copyright.
Togwe Ghana is watching. I'm sure he'll respond. Please show the rest of the polluted river. You really want to see dirty rivers? We can show you. We have so many videos. Yeah. Densu is crying. How do you say that in Chiefs?
Yeah. Densu esu.
Densu esu fo. Densu fo. They cry. And the pra is wounded.
Wounded.
Pra no. Apra. Yeah. Very bad. Let's keep it clean. Toby Ghana has responded. He says he's laughing out loud. Gentlemen, we are done for the day. Final comments before we go. I'll start with you, right?
Let me congratulate you for your passion in dealing with the Galamsey issue. In fact, if there's anything like national award, you deserve it.
Thank you.
Passionately, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Our hearts are with you. And I know one day posterity will be in your interest.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure.
My point to the politicians is to look beyond themselves as they engage in this politics. I have a reference to how Chairman Rawlings died, and he and Kufuor were not having good relationship. And I saw them, the last time I saw them was, Rawlings was motionless, lying down, and President Kufuor was in a wheelchair and has come close to him. Please reflect on this and see Ghana beyond your politics, see Ghana beyond the tenure in which you are office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. Once a week, we make it happen here with Sheikh Arimia Shaibu and his good friend and brother, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete. Yes, I just wish I could see them 40 years ago. They would be guy pa, both of you. And Sheikh was an athlete, you know. A long distance runner.
Yeah, 400 meters.
400 meters specialist.
With his afro.
With his afro, man. I want to see those photos.
One day I'll bring next week we'll bring you some photos.
Yes. Yeah. Reverend, you were a footballer.
I show you a photo of me first seated in a train going to LSE for lectures.
Yes.
I saw it the last. I said, oh my God.
Afro.
I tell you, and you see me, my brother, I will see you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Coming up next is MP for Bulsa South and the spokesperson on NDC's education policy. His name is Dr. Clement Apak, and he's going to sit down with Maltiti to talk issues of education policy. You stick around. Don't go anywhere. My name is Kafu. I'm going to go for some cocoa. I have some cocoa down the corner, which I'm going to enjoy right now. No groundnuts, just cocoa, you know. So, yeah, enjoy your breakfast too. It's good for you. God bless.
Bakwadia.
Galamsey now is the hashtag, and 44 days to go to the polls on December 7th to choose the next president of this country and members of parliament. And today on Manifesto Watch, we're going to talk about education. Yesterday, the New Patriotic Party was here to talk about the educational policy, and today we're bringing you the largest opposition party, the NDC, the National Democratic Congress, to talk about their educational policy. And I'm sure you've heard on campaign platforms about the progressively free senior high school, what they intend to do about tertiary education and free tuition for level 100s. We're going to break that all down. Send us your questions, your comments on 055-556-1034. I am Malti Tisaida Sadeke. My guest this morning to have this conversation with us on Manifesto Watch is the MP for Builsa South and a member of the NDC Manifesto Committee on Education, Dr. Clement Apak. Doc, good morning. Welcome to Manifesto Watch.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
Good to have you.
It's been a while since I came to the studios of GBC.
It has been a while.
And it's very exciting,
right.
At least having had the chance to interact with my senior in the great Vandal city, otherwise known as Commonwealth, Senior Kafui. I think that it has bolstered my spirits. So I expect us to have a riveting conversation.
Good to know, and I expect that as well. But how is campaign going so far, before we dive into
Well, so far so good. As you reckon, we were recalled to Parliament on the 15th of this month,
right,
to commence what we believe is going to be the last before the life of the 8th Parliament comes to an end. But a few things have since occurred, as you know, with the Speaker declaring some 4 seats vacant, which caused the MPP side in Parliament to run to court. So as of today, we have been sent back home. Parliament is on indefinite suspension, as we say it in Parliament.
Right.
We have been adjourned sine die. So we are going to go back and continue from where we left off. But the campaign has been going on very well. I think the options available to Ghanaians are very clear. They are like night and day. I mean, Ghanaians are going to make decisions based on practical realities that they face, based on their own stories, not on the basis of what political parties are going to say, and not on the basis of any monetary incentives. I mean, they know the difference between the dollar selling at 4 Ghana cedis and selling at almost 17 Ghana cedis. They know the difference between a tuber of yam sold at 5 cedis and 40 Ghana cedis. My constituents in Accra understand the difference between paying 80 Ghana cedis to go to Fumbisi versus today paying 400 Ghana cedis to go to Fumbisi. So the truth is that conditions have deteriorated, and human beings are rational creatures, and they would always make rational choices. So when they juxtapose conditions before this government came into office versus when the NDC was in office, they will make the right choice. So we are very certain that they would opt for a change to reset Ghana for us to collectively progress as a people.
Right, Dr. Park, I'm sure you're aware of some of the reasons behind what's currently happening in Ghana as espoused by the MPP, the changes and turmoil Ghana has had to go through, the COVID-19, the Russia-Ukraine war, and how that has had an effect on the economy, since you're talking about the cost of transportation hitherto before this administration and currently what is happening. No, we are not here to talk about the economics.
That is their point of view, and yes. Ghanaians are not buying that. I mean, to quote the current flag bearer of the MPP, when, global issues cause the fall of our primary commodities. I mean, global prices of gold plummeted. I mean, we saw global prices of cocoa plummet. And Bawumia said that we could not claim that because of those global factors or global pressures, we had an economy that was not doing well. To quote him, did those conditions jump over Burkina Faso, Togo, Ivory Coast, Benin, and come to Ghana? The same question is posed to them. Did COVID and the Russian-Ukraine war bypass all those countries and come to Ghana? So how come they are not going through the same economic challenges that we are going through? And if we were to look at the COVID-19 audit report, which was done as a result of the IMF insistence that we ought to look at how the resources that came to the Republic were utilized. The monies that came to us were in excess of 30 billion Ghana cedis, and it was misused. I mean, we have party apparatchiks and candidates who were on record as having received COVID money, and they were sharing it. I mean, so they have no excuse, is the point I'm going to make. Okay. And Ghanaians are not going to buy that.
Okay.
Because if COVID affected only Ghana, well and good. COVID affected almost every other economy. How come they are doing well and we are not?
Let's talk about what you're here to talk about, because definitely that's related to the economy. This is education. It's like a lifeline of every society. And let's begin from when children leave the cradle to basic education. We know of the inception of the F-Cube and the attempts to ensure access to education. The quality, however, has always been a bone of contention in this country.
Well, you're right. Education, we have argued in the NDC, and I hold that to be true personally, is the most important transformative force that we can think of. And I think the evidence is abound. I mean, I am here, I'm only the second generation in my family to obtain an education. And look at how far I've come. And I mean, many other people can make a reference to that. So recognizing the transformational force that education is, it has always been the priority of all nation states. And I would say the NDC has always prioritized education because we know it is the singular avenue through which those who are classified as the downtrodden, the have-nots, would have an opportunity to also contribute their quota, not just to themselves, but to their families, to their nations, and to their humanity. So within that context, we must always recognize that education is a right, and state and public resources must be invested in education to give every Ghanaian child an opportunity. And you can't do that without the teachers, because we are all product of teachers. I mean, whether you are a doctor, you are a lawyer, you are an engineer, you are a politician, you are a journalist, you were taught by a teacher. From being a nobody to becoming somebody who can read and write and understand what you are worth, and to pursue your dreams and to fulfill your own obligations to yourself and your nation. And you cannot speak about education without talking about the foundation. And the foundation is basic. Unfortunately, as we sit, for the past 8 years, public basic education in the Republic of Ghana has been largely neglected. I would even describe public basic education in Ghana currently as being in a crisis. So you spoke about the F-Cube, which is a constitutional requirement that every child of school-going age should have access to education, and I would add, quality education. But how do you ensure that when in the last 8 years, funding for basic education has dwindled, funding for secondary education has increased, funding for tertiary education has been stagnant? But even when you do the detailed analysis, secondary education, where most of the funding has gone to, is still bedeviled with a myriad of challenges. And I hope we will come to
We'll
that.
definitely come to
But
that.
let's take basic education. You spoke about
teaching and learning materials.
The FQ.
Yes.
One of the reasons why we can say public basic education in Ghana is free is because of the introduction of the capitation grant. The capitation grant is the grant that the state, through government and for that matter the ministry, remits to the public basic schools for the running and administration of the schools, and also to procure items like attendance registers, to procure chalk, to fix broken down doors and windows, to fix weak furniture, to finance cultural activities, to finance sporting activities. This government has developed the penchant of not remitting capitation grants timeously. So whilst we sit today and we are in week 7 since the basic schools reopened, I believe it was on the 10th of September, public basic schools are still owed capitation grants, the equivalent of 3 years, 8 terms. And so you go to these public basic schools and you notice that the fiscal structures are so dilapidated. A lot of the pupils have to sit on the ground, lie on their bellies. The teachers have no teacher lesson notebooks. There is no chalk. There is no furniture. Students no longer participate in sporting activities. PE is now a thing of the past. And so how do you expect us to get the best when even the grant that is usually approved by Parliament is not disbursed timeously by government, so that the heads of our public basic schools will be able to properly run and sustain the public basic school system?
Under the former administration of the NDC, it said that the presidential candidates at the time made certain comments on some platforms about provision of chalk and how he just dismissed it.
No, that is wrong. It was never the presidential candidate of the NDC. You must remember that I worked at the office of the president. I was usually part of the president's entourage. In fact, it was a benign comment that was blown out of proportion for political expediency. From the news reportage, the then second lady had been invited to a program where a head teacher had complained about inadequate chalk. That is how it came by.
Right.
It was never something that was mentioned at the campaign platform, and it never came from John Dramani Mahama. In any case, those who made an anthill out of a rat hole have been in power now for 8 years, and the situation that they said was bad has worsened. So what is their justification for seeking to remain in office if the problems that they identified have not been solved but have actually exacerbated? Clearly, it is a sign that they have failed. Look at the issue of furniture.
And what's the justification to bring the NDC to be able to address these challenges? Teaching and learning materials.
Yes.
And then we're talking the late arrival, school feeding, serving children moldy and unwholesome food. And the caterers are always on the streets protesting.
Let me take you through. I'm glad you've raised school feeding, but I was going to speak about the furniture deficit. Today as we speak, according to Africa Education Watch and, organizations, civil society organizations in the educational sector, in excess of 2.3 million Ghanaian peoples have no access to furniture. The current flag bearer of the NPP was gallivanting, hopping from one deprived school to the other, cherry picking those where there were no furniture, wearing white kaftans, squatting, interacting with students for photo ops and generating media stories. He has been in office now for almost 8 years. He is the flag bearer. The situation has exacerbated. And guess what? The last time the Minister for Education appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Education to do a presentation towards the 2024 budget, he told us that government had procured and supplied only a measly 50,000 pieces of furniture. 50,000. You know the number of years it will take the MPP, if we allow them to continue in office, to address the furniture deficit of 2.3 million. If in the time that we are talking about annually, all they can do is to provide 50,000 pieces of furniture, you do the math. So we have said, and we are going to be working with industry to ensure that we provide furniture for our peoples in the Republic. That is a solution that we have proffered. Ask them, what is their solution?
What will be the timelines and the quantity?
What is their solution?
Per year with the furniture for all.
Clearly, we are not in power yet. It's a policy proposal that we have tabled. So when we come, we would engage the industry that is capable of helping us to address this issue.
Okay.
And I can tell you that it is doable. So I am not one to say things that I don't know.
Right.
So Ghanaians should believe that we have identified the problem, we have laid out a plan of resolving it, and if given the mandate, working with the furniture industry, working with the carpentry industry, we should be able to mobilize the requisite resources, because we are also going to increase funding towards basic education.
Will that address the TLMs, the late arrival?
Yes, you see, when you talk about TLMs, we are talking about teaching and learning materials, right?
Right.
That includes chalk. That includes books. That includes textbooks. This government introduced what it described as the standard-based curriculum, which came into effect in September, says that only 65% of textbooks based on the new standard-based curriculum have been procured and distributed. Not even one single textbook has gone to any public kindergarten. When it comes to the junior high schools, the students who wrote their BECE this year, from junior high school 1 until they wrote their BECE, never had access to textbooks. Very terrible this government has performed. And Ghanaians ought to know. The students are listening, teachers are listening, parents are listening, educationists are listening. And if I'm wrong, they will correct me. And I know I am right. So it all boils down to government not prioritizing education in general and neglecting basic education is all to ensure that teaching and learning material is supplied timelessly.
Okay.
We are currently in urban schools where they now use the whiteboards. You know, they don't use chalk anymore.
The marker books.
They use markers. Markers have not been supplied. Has resurfaced and re-emerged. The data from the Ministry of Education itself and Africa Education Watch tells us that over 5,400 schools are under trees. And yet, government has resources to invest in a national cathedral, the equivalent of $58 million. Do you know what that can do for Ghana's public basic educational system? Where not even one layer of a structure is there to bear testimony. So this government, when it comes to public basic education, has failed miserably, has neglected public basic education, and that is why most parents, even as poor as they are, and with the challenging conditions that we have, will do whatever they can to try and get their wards into private schools.
Dr. Park, let's talk about school feeding. The conversation of quality and quantity and, you know, for private schools and public schools, I'll come back to you on that. But let's talk about school feeding. How do you caution the children to go to school in deprived communities where square meal, 3 square meals a day is a problem, and there are issues. I'm seeing the story about moldy food and unwholesome food being given, and then the payment challenges always services.
Another heart-wrenching scenario, as you've shared, and this is true. I mean, if you go around, you would find that a lot of the schools, the caterers, have practically stopped cooking. And in the schools where they cook, the quality of the food is so poor that I don't believe people who belong to the upper and middle class in Ghana would feed the food that we feed to our wards to their pet cats and dogs. Unnutritious. I mean, when you see the food, even the visual impression that you get tells you that this cannot be food worthy of being fed to pets, let alone human beings. But that is what is happening. And there are 3 main reasons why this is the case. One is that government owes a lot of the caterers and has been failing in paying them. And because government has been failing in paying them, many of them have had to go and take loans from loan sharks and from microfinance institutions. They are being pursued. They can't find the money to pay. And so they either do what they can within the constraints of not having the requisite resources to provide nutritious meals, or they stop just cooking for the people. The second factor is that the amount that has been allocated, which used to be 97 pesos per people per day, I think after recently from the stronghold of the current government, the Ashanti region, at some point government then agreed that they were going to pay them. They didn't pay all of them. Government then agreed to increase the allocation per people to 1 cedi, 20 pesos. And as of the last time that the Minister for Finance came to Parliament, he said government had increased it to 1 cedi, 50 pesos. And this is with tax.
Right.
I mean, can you believe that it is even tax? Yes,
with tax.
With tax. Which means after tax has been taken out of it, it will go down even further.
What will be the NDC's cost per child?
Well, we have said that we are going to offer a realistic rate because the caterers themselves had argued, and I supported them, both on the floor of Parliament and within the media, that given the economy, where even a boiled egg would cost anywhere between 3 and 4 cedis, depending on which part of Ghana you are, you cannot expect any caterer, no matter how generous and magical they can be, to produce a hot, nutritious meal at 1 cedi 50 pesos. You tell me, you go to the market, you know the price of food items. How is it possible that anyone can expect any woman to be able to feed a child a hot, nutritious meal? And this is what it says. If you go to the website of the Ministry of Hot, Nutritious Meal per day, can you provide 1 hot, nutritious meal per day to feed a child at 1 cedi 50 pesos? Well, so the caterers were asking for 3 Ghana cedis, which they didn't get. I was even advocating 5 Ghana cedis.
Where will the money come from for the NDC to allocate for this and ensure that we don't see a recurrence of caterers always striking?
We have the resources. It's about priority. First of all, we are not going to waste public resources in the name of fulfilling, if you like, pledges that we made to God. What is the point of investing $58 million to build a cathedral when people are starving? When people are not going to school because school feeding caterers are either not preparing sumptuous meals or are so indebted to their creditors that they have stopped cooking. Which one would God prefer? Obviously, God would prefer you spending that $58 million to ensure that our peoples are fed.
Okay, so these are the priorities. These are the priorities.
We will prioritize by cutting down on waste, by plugging revenue loopholes, which are abound. We would find the resources by ensuring that those in government today who have misappropriated public resources will cough up those resources. We are going to retrieve those resources. Some of those resources that were found under the beds of government ministers in chop boxes. Some of those resources that we've had have been stored away in polytanks.
And if you do, these are the monies you are going to push to sectors like school feeding.
And indeed, we also have control over the national budget. So we would allocate sufficient resources and make sure government apparatchiks and officials would always talk about how they have allocated colossal amounts of money to, agency A, B, and C. If you look at the parliamentary records, in terms of disbursements, they don't even disburse up to half of what they have allocated. And that is part of the problem.
Right.
So I believe we can mobilize the needed resources to ensure that the future of this nation is properly taken care of. Because if you get the foundation right, which is basic education, then the structure, which is secondary education, and tertiary, which is the superstructure, would be easy to achieve.
Let's move to secondary education, the link between the basic and the tertiary. And the current government, with the free senior high school policy, getting more people into school. There's been the talk about quality of education and also even infrastructure. I'm seeing a story that's talking about 60% of double track being eradicated, but it still appears that we're having crowding in the schools. And that begs the question about quality of education and the kind of students who are graduating to the tertiary institutions. What's the NDC's approach?
Well, secondary education, of course, we know is mandatory because once you complete basic, you must transition to secondary before you go to tertiary. And we have said that we started the implementation of the free senior school policy. Our variant or version was what we described as progressively free.
Was it just in description or you actually
No, we did. I mean, it's on record. You are a journalist. You can Google it. We have started it. Yes, in 2015. Right. In fact, the current president applauded John Dramani Mahama for implementing the free senior school policy. John Mahama received commendation from international institutions like UNICEF and the World Bank for commencing the implementation of free senior high school. Your own network, GTV, covered the announcement where John Mahama announced the commencement of the implementation of the free senior school policy.
Okay.
So our approach was to begin with day students and identified needy students and then escalate it. That was our approach.
Okay.
And we had also started putting in place the infrastructure. So we augmented existing infrastructure in existing secondary schools. We added dormitories, we added dining halls, we added laboratories. You can come to my own constituency, Fumbisi Senior High Agric Secondary School. We added a dormitory. We added a new boys dormitory, which is actually called Mahama House.
Okay.
Then we added a girls dormitory. We even added facilities for the teachers.
Right.
And then we also started the construction of the famous E-blocks. All of that was in preparation towards the full hog implementation of the policy. But we were not given the mandate.
And I'm sure you anticipated the challenges that you will face if it had fully been rolled out,
Rightly
just like
so.
what is happening now.
Rightly so.
How are you going to address it?
Rightly so, because we anticipated that a full-blown rollout would put pressure on existing infrastructure It was only prudent. And that is what visionaries do. You anticipate what would happen. And then you begin to put in place measures to address challenges that would come. You don't wait for the challenges to hit you in the face. And then you now begin, after the fact, struggle to address them. It has been 8 years.
What do you say to those who say that the NPP was relying on the existing infrastructure you had already started, the more dormitories, the e-blocks,
we
so felt that the free senior high school would be a good thing to roll out.
Of affairs, and we told them, and they saw our blueprint. They ignored it for pure political expediency, and we are still suffering the consequences. I say so because you have said it. The double track system is still in existence. And the only reason why the double track system is in existence is because of insufficient academic and residential facilities. I mean, I am not saying it. And so until we provide sufficient academic and residential facilities, we cannot get rid of the double track.
Can we say that in the first 2 years of the NDC, if you do win power and come back, is going to be dedicated to boosting infrastructure to get rid of this whole double track system?
We have said that.
Crowding.
We have said that in our manifesto. Our flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, has said this without number. And we have said we are going to do it by completing the abandoned e-blocks.
Okay.
We are going to do this by completing abandoned infrastructural projects, even in existing secondary schools. And those infrastructural projects have been abandoned and have not been completed, also because this government unreasonably introduced what they call the capping and realignment policy, which has capped GET Fund. And everyone knows that GET Fund is the primary agency that we have brought into being ourselves as a nation under a previous NDC government to finance educational infrastructure.
Let me link this.
And so when you cap GET Fund, the revenues that go to GET Fund are no longer sufficient.
Okay.
And it makes it difficult for GET Fund to be able to meet its obligations. And that is why, in spite of Akufo-Addo's promise that by the second year of his second term in office, double track will be a thing of the past. He is going to exit office on the 9th of January 7th, 2027, and double track will still be in existence. So when we come...
Let me link it to... We're out of time.
No, I know. Let me quickly summarize. So when we come, we will complete the e-blocks. We will add infrastructure to existing infrastructure in our public secondary school.
I wanted to talk about universities and the crowding on for hostels.
We will come to that as well. So we have said that we will abolish the double track by increasing existing educational and academic infrastructure, not just through GET Fund, but our big push, which is the $10 billion infrastructural fund. Some of that will also be implemented towards that. Tertiary too, we have proposed some very groundbreaking policies. I'm sure you have heard the fee-free
level 100 free fees
academic policy, which is going to be funding the academic fees of all first-year tertiary students, not second, tertiary. So whether you are a college of education, whether you are nursing training, whether you are a technical university, whether you are a traditional university, John Dramani Mahama and the NDC would take the bill on your behalf for your academic user fee. And we believe that is going to allow for the many who have graduated from the Free Senior High School and are currently sitting home because the parents are not able to mobilize the resources to finance their tertiary education, to have access to tertiary education. Then from the first year onwards, the student loan plus will then kick in. When we decap GET Fund will have enough resources. Many don't know, but the primary source of funding to the student loan scheme is GET Fund. So GET Fund will then have enough resources to give to the student loan trust to be able to then support the tertiary students who have benefited from the first year
free senior tertiary
to
fees.
Continue.
So that's the sustainability mechanism.
And then to complete. So
thank you.
You see that we have thought through our policies and they are practical.
Okay.
Practical.
Thank you, Honorable.
Practical solutions. So
unfortunately, we have to go.
You have a choice.
We're out of time.
Examine yourself, your conditions, and then make the right choice.
Okay.
Vote for NDC, vote for John Omani Mama to reset Ghana for our collective benefit, not for the benefit for a few greedy people who are seeking to use our collective resources for their family and friends and for their clans' prosperity.
Thank you so much. Dr. Clement Apak is on the Education Committee, the Manifesto, NDC Manifesto Committee. Education is the MP for Bulusa South, and we've talked about basic to senior high school to tertiary, the $10 billion infrastructure fund and boost across board to boost infrastructure, improve quality of education. I am Alti Tisai. That's it for Manifesto Watch. We are back with more.
And it's time now for some birthday dedications. To everyone celebrating their birthday today, happy birthday to you. It's not easy to get a new year to your life. So once again, we thank God for his mercies and may his face shine upon you always. I have a few birthday dedications over here. I'd like to start with Charles Kwame Chapo, who is the head of design right here at GBC. And if you see this entire studio, he was part of the team that put this set together for us. So happy birthday to you, Sir Charles. It's been amazing knowing you, and it's another year to your life. So happy birthday to you from all of us here in the studio and from all of us here and your colleagues at GBC. So moving on from Charles, we go to Gabi Nova, a talented musician, performer, artist, all-round performer, if you ask me, singer, dancer, actor. He's just amazing. Check out his pages on social media. Today is your birthday. I want to say you are blessed, you're highly favored, and may you keep walking in the Lord's presence, all right? Happy birthday to you, Gabi Nova. And moving on to another creative, who is Ni Adote Fish. I don't know why he calls himself Fish. He should have been like Panla or something like that. Happy birthday to you, Ni Adote Fish. He's another great performer. Happened to act with him a few times on set, and he brings a lot of energy when we're on set and everything. So keep being your bubbly self, keep being energetic, keep being active, and hey, Charlie, we love you. Happy birthday, man. And another creative whose birthday it is today is a celebrity birthday, Lydia Forson. Today she turns 40. Already spread the love of her birthday on Instagram and everything. The great 40-0, you know, 40, 40, 40. Lydia Forson is 40 today, and to her craft and everything that she's done for the country and beyond, we say happy birthday to you, Lydia. And coming up, we're dedicating this song to everyone who is celebrating their birthdays today. So to all those I've mentioned and to all those who are celebrating their birthdays to you, this song goes out to you, all right? Happy birthday. First time now for us to speak about the 2024 Super Wonderland French Fanfare. With me in the studio this morning to help with the conversation, to my far left is Clement Ousuansa, who is the organizer of the French Fanfare. Clement, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much.
And seated right next to him is Mildred Frimpong, who is the CEO of GH Online Lessons for Kids. Yes, you're welcome. How are you doing? Bonjour. Monsieur. Bonjour, monsieur.
Merci.
Bonjour, madame.
It's Mrs. So.
Bonjour. Let me not commit myself. Bonjour, Mildred. Welcome again.
Merci.
And the last but definitely not the least is George Kojo York, who is also an organizer for the French Fanfare. Coordinator for the French Fanfare. Yeah, George.
I will just say good morning.
Good morning. You don't want to say bonjour?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
I'm a student and I'm still learning. Right. So when we get there, what?
Student of
the French, fanfare.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a student in the French Fanfare.
All right. Let me start with Mildred. When we see the organization of GH Online Lessons and all, can you tell us a bit about give us a background on that?
Okay. So GH Online French Lessons for Kids is actually tailored to teach French to kids, because we know that when kids start learning a language early, from research, from when kids start learning a language, it helps them. When you grow up, you get committed to too many things, and it's very difficult, not impossible, but quite difficult and challenging when you're an adult and you're learning a language. So we are more geared towards children, and then we teach them French online, aside of what they learn in school, so that we can help them speak the language as the best way we can. So we learn online, after school, and during weekends. We also have some adults who have signed on, and then we also have some corporate organizations that have signed on. But we started with our main focus being children, because we realized the gap in the French language here in Ghana, especially when it comes to the speaking. So we're very focused on the kids. When you see a child and you say, bonjour, comment ça va, then they start running. But when you put the same question on a paper, they will answer for you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Much more theory than practical.
Yes.
Okay.
They are able to write better than they can speak. And it's all because, one, the environment doesn't permit them. Mommy doesn't speak French, daddy doesn't speak French, their friends don't speak French, they don't speak French at church, at school, so it becomes difficult for them to express themselves. But on GH Online French Lessons for Kids, we always have apps, we have games, we talk about the French, we learn it in a very practical way to help the child at least pick up the everyday expressions that they can use. Because looking at the geography of Ghana, we're surrounded by Francophone countries, and so the best that we can do for these kids is to help them have French in addition to whatever they are they envisage to be. I mean, we know that an added language is an added value.
Yeah, but you know, there are also other languages here in Ghana. For instance, our local languages like Chi, Ga, you know, Ebe and all that. Why did you decide on French?
Okay, so that is why our slogan is an added language is an added value.
Okay.
We were not specific on an added French. An added language is an added value.
Okay.
We know that whenever you have an additional language to whatever language, to your maternal language, it gives you value. Suppose you want to be a politician and you can speak these languages. When you go to the environment and you speak Ga, or you go to North, you speak you see they are able to warm up to you. They feel a part. They feel that they are part of you. The same way when you learn the French, we're able to warm up to our neighboring countries, and we're able to do a lot with them. We're able to trade with them, we're able to do business with them. Mostly we talk about Ghana-Nigeria movies, Ghana-Nigeria is because of the language. I think Ghanaians could have done movies with Togo, Benin, and expanded on their markets. But the language has been a barrier for us. So we leave all these countries, and then, I'm not saying forming an alliance with Nigeria is bad, it's good, but we could have formed it with these people too and expanded on our markets. Like when you do movies, you can also take it there
I
as well.
remarked on something like that, the fact that we are surrounded by French countries, and yet anytime we are fighting with Nigeria, quote unquote, it's like we skip Togo and Benin and we just move straight. Yeah, it's like we skip, we go straight to Nigeria. Clement, how do you come into all this?
Well, I being a fan of French, learning French, for me, I'm just interested in languages in general. But then, like she said, I believe it's best to start with French because, like you said, Ghana is all surrounded by Francophone countries. Well, just like any student studying French, when I started to learn French, I didn't like it. I didn't like my monsieur at all. I mean, how he was teaching the French, I didn't like anything because I wasn't getting anything at all. But I remember when I got to JHS, I told myself, this is where school starts. So let me just be serious with everything. And of course, well, let me confess, I loved the JHS madam. She looked like my mother. So beginning to like her, I started liking the subject, the French. And then, well, I started developing in it, and then I a good opportunity to even serve as the president of the French Student Association of the University of Ghana. I just ended my my education there, and I'm giving a national service, a teaching assistant, tutorial assistant.
Oh, so you did a year abroad and everything?
Actually, I didn't go to the year abroad. I prepared my colleagues to go. I even accompanied them, took them to La Côte d'Ivoire and came back. But I, as president, we cannot go. You have to stay behind and take care of the
would that not hurt your experience in any way? Your learning experience?
No, not at all. Not at all.
You'll be okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine. It's
okay. So, George, did you also learn French when you were growing up in school and all that?
I did. I learned French, but I didn't go ahead with it. Along the line, I stopped. And it took me losing an opportunity that I had to speak French to come back or to come to that realization that I seriously needed French. That is why from the beginning I said I am a French learner, not a speaker like the two of them. So I'm different from them. I'm a student of the GH Online French online lessons for kids and adults as well.
So you're part of the adults team?
I am part of the adults.
So you lost the opportunity. That's why you decided
I'm part now.
You want to tell us what opportunity that was? Maybe
not here. I wouldn't mention it here. But what it actually means is that we are doing this to encourage people to learn French. You rightly said Ghana is surrounded by French-speaking countries. You may have the opportunity to go and work in Togo, where to demand that you speak French. You may have the opportunity to go and work in France to demand that you speak French. When you join our adult class, you find out that almost all the people there, they own businesses, they are experts in their field, but they decided to sign up so that they could learn French because they are eyeing one opportunity in France or another country that demands that they speak French. So that's why I'm part of this.
You are part of this. So I just quickly before I move on, since you're an adult who is joining the online kids class and all that, is it like Mildred rightly said, is it easier for you to pick up the language, or is it a little more difficult for you?
It's difficult picking the language, as an adult, and it's difficult learning something, as an adult. It's better when you started growing up and you picked up a few things. It's hard. But I can say she's doing a good job by introducing a lot more exciting activities, and that is what we are trying to push with a fanfare like what we are going to be having on Saturday.
Well, it's better late than never.
Absolutely.
So on Saturday is the Super Wonderland French Fanfare. Let's go into that. Who wants to begin?
Okay. So the 2024 Super Wonderland French Fanfare is actually organized to bring all French learners at a converging point to express all that we've been learning. When we learn the French, at the end of the day, you don't even get anybody to speak with. You don't get anybody to express yourself to. So everything you learn keeps dwelling in your head. So this fanfare, we have made it fun for kids. One, to clear the notion that French is boring. French is never boring. It can be very fun and it is very interesting. And two, we have decided that all French learners should converge at a point to speak what they've been learning from school. As I told you, anytime you meet somebody and you say, "Comment ça va?" then they start running away. "Comment tu t'appelles?" Instead of them saying, "Je m'appelle," maybe Mildred, "Je m'appelle Ama," my name is not, then they run away. Anytime you speak French, people just start giggling and running off. And I feel that confidence to speak is something that we haven't done much about. And I must say that there were some people in France who had stayed there for 15 years and couldn't speak French.
I'm sorry, what?
I said there were some people in France.
Are they French?
They are not French.
Okay.
But they couldn't speak French. So I'm trying to say that don't use the environment as an excuse.
Okay.
Don't use the environment as an excuse. There are people who are there, and as a student, they had to wake me up at dawn to go and queue for them and to go and explain their paper issues for them because they couldn't speak the French.
But it's still a money-making opportunity for you.
Oh, I wasn't taking any money anyway.
Anyway, time will not permit us to
so I just want to tell them that it's not about the environment. It is you. It's a decision. That's why we're creating this fun learning environment. We've invited Francophones through the embassies. We've invited French teachers. We've invited some Francophone schools. So there's that opportunity for you to communicate with a French person, make friends with them, express what you know in French. And these teachers who would be there will support you to say something like, "J'ai faim, I'm hungry, je vais boire de l'eau, I want to drink water, je vais jouer avec toi, I want to play with you." So many things. And we have French board games, displayed expressions, fun things, all in French and English. Please note that it is French and English, so there isn't any barrier there. We're going to support you to speak the French. We're telling parents out there, Saturday, most kids are on midterm break. Saturday at the Marina Play Park and Water Park, the owner of Marina Play Park and Water Park, Alaji Kalmoni, has subsidized the price for us. Subsidized the price
for us. So that's where it's happening. What time is it? What time is it starting?
At 8 to 5 p.m. and it is only 100 Ghana cedis. For 100 Ghana cedis, you can be at the fun fair, you can access the water park, the play park, and all the activities and everything going on.
Yes.
So please be there with your child. All schools, so many schools have been invited, they've had their tickets. If you've not had your ticket yet, please call 0241-430-120 and order for your ticket. You have to be there. You cannot miss out on this educative French fun.
Thank you so much, Mildred. All too soon, it's over, so we have to leave the studios. I've been speaking with Clement Osuansa, who is one of the organizers for the French Fun Fair, Mildred Fumpong, who is the CEO of GH Online Classes for Kids, and George Kojo York, who is the coordinator for the French Fun Fair. Thank you for joining us this morning. Much appreciated. The time will not permit us. Once the music starts playing, we just have to go out to the studio. So forgive us. I want to thank